Boom. I'm getting better. This stuff.
So my friend, how are you doing today?
Huh?
What's up, my friend? How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Sorry, I just didn't know what your camera, or not your camera, your mic was doing. Mic sounded crazy.
Nah, you're good, man.
Everybody doing on
Yeah,
YouTube, as
that's
everybody doing on
the
TikTok. You get a rare 2-day bright stream. Look at that. Uncommon as heck. I got no analogy for you. Sorry, bro. Yes, I know the guy called allegedly Ian. I've debated him multiple times. Dude's a goober. Hardcore goober. We're having a little sippy sip tonight.
like Leon and Sig.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Sig did some Sig shit, that's for sure. I think you won like hardcore. I've never talked to Dr. Blitz, but I do know who that is. I have heard of him. Do you have any videos of it where I can watch it? On my YouTube channel, actually, I have a 2-hour debate with him that you can watch with allegedly Ian. It's on my YouTube channel. YouTube.com at Bryce J Official. Same as TikTok. Yes.
Yo, I actually got a question for you, that time.
Yeah.
So I had an atheist come in my life earlier, right? And I was using the Jim Bob syllogism, right, on the laws of logic, right,
Mm-hmm.
and the universal mind. So how do I art? So he denied that the laws of logic were what's it called, grounded in
He denied what?
that the laws of logic are like grounded inside of it, like in the mind, so like conceptual. He literally denied.
So he denied that it's a concept.
Yes.
I mean, then he just doesn't affirm them then. Laws of logic are a
Yeah.
concept. Like that's like if if it's not an abstract or it's not conceptual, then ask him what is it? Like what is it then? Is it concrete?
That's what I asked him, and he just said it's something that we deduce with logic. And I was like, that's circular, dude.
Yeah, that's not how that works, bro. Trying to figure out. No. Okay. I really wish I could figure out. Let me see if I can do this actually. I'm trying to see if I can make YouTube work better because I'm actually starting to get like a consistent watch base over there. It looks kind of botched, if I'm gonna be real. Doing good, John. How are you doing, man? What's up, Bill Hicks? What's up, Ron Smith? What's up, Garrett Green? Except Chalcedon and learn to count. Agan made Sig affirm God intrinsically changes. LOL. No, he didn't. He said it was a utilization. Yes, honey. What's up? Sorry, my wife's in the chat. I want to test a Land Rover. Okay. Like a what? A Land Rover Defender?
Yeah, I know.
Hmm?
I said hello to Hannah.
Land Rover Defender 130. Chat, let's take a look at the car that my wife wants, huh? What the frick? Hold on. A 130. Oh, okay. Okay. 2025. Let's see what this thing is. That looks kind of hard. Looks like a fancy Jeep. You know? Looks nice. I think Don has a different opinion. I think Don thinks that it looks goofy and he doesn't want to say it. Look at that, dude. That's a
Bro, that
that's
thing
a
looks like
smexy
something
car.
to drive in Dueling, bro.
That's a smexy car, man. Got the captain's chairs for the second row. That's a car for sure. Man, y'all are tripping, bro. Thing's fire. Land Rover Defender, man. This thing like mogs so many cars. Look at that, dude.
That's my car, though.
Stick shift? Or not stick shift, sorry. The shifter is not like on the bottom. It's like, boom. It looks pleasing to the simpletons. Dude, you guys are going to piss off my wife, bro.
Hey, by the way, when are you guys gonna be back on Dune?
Here in a couple days, actually. I just took a couple days off because, you know, I didn't want to burn myself out.
I was wondering because like I'm probably gonna want to get I'm gonna want to get on after Nakeem goes back to Florida.
After who? Oh, after your friend? Yeah.
Yeah.
Driving and streaming? What are you talking about, man? I was simply just taking a look at a vehicle that my wife wants. See, I still think a G-Wagon is like the ultimate Mog. I think that's honestly one of the best Mogs, like the best car Mogs that you can have. Do you have the Do you mean the video called Open Debate Atheists? No. Hold on. Let me show the video. Right here. Bryce J versus Ian. TikTok atheists. Justification, propositions, Trinity, orthodoxy, heaven and hell. Yeah, bro. 2 hours and 6 minutes of me debating allegedly Ian. That's the one you need. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Hanging out. What's up?
Yeah, I just saw your prompt on the screen. I just want to have your opinion. Are you I'm assuming you're Orthodox or some sort of.
Yeah.
Okay. Which part of Orthodoxy, like
Eastern.
Eastern? Okay. So how would you hash that out when someone asks you like, are the other churches like the Roman Catholics or the Orientals, like are they all like damned?
We don't know. We have no idea if they're damned, brother. We don't make claims like that. I don't even know if I'm saved or damned. You know what I mean? Like we make the good race, right? And we endure to the end. But there's no guarantee for anybody. What we can say is that the assurance of grace is in the Orthodox Church, and that there are people that lack God's uncreated energies because they refuse to be a part of the body. But so we can make claims about things like that, where we say something like, well, we know for a fact that we have the assurance of grace in our church, and then historically it shows that that is the one true church. So then therefore, right, you must be part of the Orthodox Church to be saved. And even if somebody were to die, for example, outside of the communion of the church, if they are saved, then that is through the Orthodox Church. They would be given, they would be extramentally be given to the Orthodox Church anyway.
Okay. Would you? I want to hear your opinion on this. Like whether I've seen some debates between like Eastern Orthodox, Catholics, and Orientals on certain terms of like explaining the incarnation or how the relational, aspects work in the Trinity or the metaphysics.
Yeah.
Is knowledge of metaphysics salvific? Like
No.
no, right?
No.
So like let's say like I understand the incarnation, I believe in Christ, and I believe that he's fully man, fully God. How that worked, the modality of that, I just leave that up to mystery.
Well, the problem is that in the church, right? Like there's liturgy, right? And in the liturgy, you profess theology, even if you don't understand the theology. Like we obviously like some of the statements that we say in Orthodoxy for our liturgy is that Christ is in two natures. Like we say that as some of our chants. So like if you're professing that, you're professing that faith. So you're still aware that that is your faith. So there's no such thing as like that level of ignorance, because the liturgies teach all of it on a basic level. Like even the essence energies distinction that is in the liturgy, all of it.
I mean,
Because yeah,
just like looking at the Bible holistically, I don't think Christ wants like is like I wouldn't say want to, but requires us to understand these things. Like
I mean, yeah, like understanding a bunch of theology is not required. No, I mean, like I said, like that. Or honestly, I'll say it like this, right? There's a difference between a heretic and a schismatic.
okay,
All right, like a schismatic would be like someone's grandma in a Catholic church, bro. They're just
right.
they're just heterodox. Like they probably don't know shit about me or what
I
I
mean,
believe.
yeah, I mean they believe. I would say Roman Catholics. I mean, I've been to a service one time. They preach the gospel. I
Yeah.
mean, I really don't like going to an Eastern Orthodox service. It's just like they have a different way of like worshiping, like, and I guess the liturgy. But
Hold on
honestly,
one
they
second. Apparently, I need to grab the front door. I'm sorry. Give me one
no
second.
problem.
Yeah, like for example, what Bryce was talking about with like in the liturgy, like in the Great Litany before communion, we confess the Trinity. We say our deacon says that we may confess, and so we say Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Hmm.
Uh, what's it called? Uh, Three in one essence, right? We say that in our like it's built into the liturgy.
Yeah, I mean things like the Trinity, things like I think communion and the seven sacraments. I think those are necessary for our salvation. I mean, we need those things. Christ gave us those things like the Eucharist, confession. It's good for our soul. I mean, the church is the doctrine of the soul, and I think that those things that lead us in the way of salvation. But I think that some people, they're ignorant of like what the metaphysics are, like about the nature of Christ and incarnation and how that works. So I just don't think that in my heart of hearts, I don't think those people will be damned if they're not in the Eastern Orthodox Church or that they don't have grace.
Okay. I'm back. Sorry. My dad's calling me, bro. You gotta be kidding me.
There's a guy that's named I Am Moses that wants to come up. I think that I'll drop in, and I think he wants to come up. I don't want to take too much time.
You got some good questions, bro. You're good.
Okay. Yeah. If it's fine with you guys, of course.
Well, at least it's what Bryce wants to do. I don't, I'm just here.
Honestly, I've seen his lives. He's like I guess he's a oneness guy or something. Like I would like to see what he has to say.
Yeah. Well, Moses ain't requesting up anymore.
Holy shit. Back. Sorry about
No problem.
that, chat. Yeah, no, I'm good. My dad called me. He just he explains things very in depth, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I love my dad to death, but oh my gosh. What's up? Friggin' Catholicos.
Hey, before we get into anything, I do just want to apologize to the chat, to Tempo, to Pope, to you, Bryce. I know that we spoke earlier, but yeah, if I've come across like a jerk and overly aggressive lately, I apologize. I'm not trying to make an excuse for it, but my head's kind of been in a really weird space lately. So
You're good, bro. God bless. You know, forgive you, of course.
Yeah, you're good, bro.
No issues. What's up, Catholicos?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Hanging out.
Hello? You hear
Is
me?
that, yeah, you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said I'm just hanging out.
I had a question that's not related to the prompt, if that's all right with you.
I don't care.
Yeah, so I'm actually an RC, and
Okay.
I had like a question about like, so it has to like deal with like how like so basically like in the Catholic Church, in order for like a priest to become an exorcist, they have to like be given like formal training, and they have to go through like a careful selection process. I don't fully know. I know it's like super discreet. I was just curious, like, how exactly does the Eastern Orthodox Church go about this route? Like, do you guys go like how do you have any idea?
Schoolboy, you know a little bit more about like ordinative jobs. Do you know about the process to becoming an exorcist?
it's more of a discernment between a priest and his bishop. Not every priest is an exorcist based on their own discernment to some extent, and obviously that with their bishop and their spiritual fathers. It's a very dangerous thing to be an exorcist. I think we can all find common ground there.
Yeah.
But essentially, every priest has the ability to be an exorcist.
Yeah, I agree.
And oddly enough, and not to be overly polemical, there are accounts of people seeking exorcisms from Roman Catholics, and the Roman Catholics sending them to Orthodox exorcists because they didn't feel like that they were equipped for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, do you know any like actual like instances where that happened out of like the top of your head, or?
Not off the top of my head. My buddy John would know.
John was the one that said something about that regarding Rocor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, then that's really interesting.
Man, bro, people were like really freaking upset about yesterday's thing with Apex and me, man.
Why?
Yo,
Because he
mod, bro.
mod?
Yeah, can I get mod?
No.
Why do you want mod,
Hey,
bro?
bro.
Bro, because I just want to be like your base Catholic mod.
Your based Catholic mod. I don't got no base Catholic mods, man.
Bro, I could be the one.
That's literally a P and not P right there.
Yeah.
No, in the definition of Catholic, it means to be based.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, are you guys not Catholic?
We are Catholic. I see what you're doing.
Oh, so schoolboy.
So you submit to Rome then, right?
Equivocation. I'm calling it before you even go there.
How's it an equivocation?
You know how it's an equivocation. You are Roman Catholic. And when I was
I am Roman Catholic.
And when I was saying Catholic colloquially, I was referring to Roman Catholics.
Oh, so like that would just be a negation, bro. Fries, bro. Fries in the bag, dude.
Yo, Tempo.
What up?
Randomly off topic, but they just revealed Jean Grey in Marvel Rivals.
Yo, wait, what?
Look at this!
Oh, snap.
Bro.
she a healer?
Nah, she's a duelist. I mean, she's gonna be annoying as shit. She has some like weird chain reaction thing. I'm not sure what that is, but
I bet she believes in Scholarios.
you think
She looks like it.
all that just to be a cap victim? Exactly. Bruh. She looks annoying as shit, I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna be a pain in the butt to deal with.
Yo, Bryce, can you tell me like, can you tell me what the cause is?
A cause?
Yeah,
Opposite of effect. GG's.
that doesn't give me a definition.
Yeah, it does. It's a negation.
So we can't know what a cause is, but we can know what an effect is.
For the sake of my current rage bait LARP, yes.
Fries.
Fries.
Yo, what do you think about like the theory that came out of the 70s that thinks that we should define God, or not define God, define cause based off of counterfactuals.
Based off of what?
Based off of counterfactuals.
Counterfactuals?
Yeah, so like the counterfactual definition or the counterfactual theory of cause is just like saying if this thing didn't occur, then would its effect occur as well? And like they would say, because like say for instance, if the Father didn't exist, the Son wouldn't occur.
Yeah.
So that's how the Father is caused because of the counterfactual.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think about that?
I don't know. I'd have to look more into it, honestly. I haven't read very much on that theory.
So, what is a cause?
Like, you being serious?
Yeah.
Honestly, really hard to freaking describe that, bro. I'm trying to think of it to say it like simplistic without using an analogy. Like one of those really simplistic words that it's like really hard to just. What would you say it is? Maybe I'll just agree with you.
It's an explanation.
An explanation for something?
Yeah. So like St. Thomas says in his commentary on the Metaphysics, Book 1, Lecture 4, there's a principle is just a why or an explanation for a said thing.
Bro. I mean, I don't really necessarily see something wrong with that.
Okay. This will be used against you, Bryce.
Yeah? Why? Does something being the explanation for something necessitate subsistence?
Necessitate subsistence?
Yeah.
What do you mean by subsist?
To exist, bro. If you ask me what exist means, I'm booting you.
Wait, say that one more time.
Yeah, to exist.
Okay.
The reasoning for
cause?
existence. Yeah, so like does cause in with your definition to say an explanation for something, does that necessitate subsistence?
I'm not sure.
But then it doesn't defeat my point if you don't say yes to that. Because I can just say that the cause refers to the reasoning for manifestation or the explanation for manifestation.
Where did manifestation come from?
This doesn't have anything to do with the previous talks we've had about eternal manifestation.
No.
About cause, because you and I are like argued about cause for like freaking 30 minutes last time we talked about it, bro. And it was
45.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't know you were counting. My apologies.
Yeah. No, this has nothing to do with eternal manifestation.
Oh,
Yet.
okay.
Yet.
I can't wait to see it, man. I love your Google Docs schizo posting. It's fun to read.
Bro, they're so based though, bro. Like based Pisarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 500 subs on YouTube, guys. Yay! Thank you, John, for that sub. I saw that. I witnessed that happen.
So like, what's your favorite schizo post?
Like of you?
Yeah.
Probably the one that I think the first one that you brought me. It was like that long ass syllogism.
There's been a couple.
It was like, I swear it was like the first one you ever presented me. I can't exactly remember. Yes, I'm still writing. I'm still writing my book. I'm just taking a break because my priest needs to approve it.
It was the one argument off prepositions.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, monopatrism. I am still writing my book. I'm not gonna release it until my priest approves it. So if he tells me to change something inside of the book, then I'll modify it again and then resubmit it and do it that way. I'm not gonna release an entire book on the Orthodox position without my priest blessing that.
Bro, Bryce, dude, I haven't even shown you my good arguments, bro. I'm fried, bro.
Oh, you've been hiding them?
Yeah.
For who?
For a rainy day.
For a rainy day?
Yeah.
But what if it saves me, bro?
What do you mean?
What if it convinces me that the filioque is true? And then I submit to Rome right here and now.
That'd be pretty based.
Yeah, but you're stopping that from happening, bro. You're messing with the elect right now. You know that?
That's not how that works.
It is. You're messing with the elect, bro.
No, that's not how that works.
That is how that works.
No.
Wait. Oh shit. Jay Dyer's just doing a whole freaking open debate stream on same God worship. I'm sure that's going fantastic.
Yo, I should talk to him about de re de dicto distinction.
Yo. Okay, Chris, if you go up there, I will watch this happen right now on my stream. If you go up there,
on Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter Spaces. If you go up there and talk to Jay Dyer, I will literally have this recorded.
Will he give me 100 roses if I go up?
I'll give you 100 roses if you go. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Oh, what link? What? I'm trying to think. What account? I'm trying to think what account. I should go on.
Only G exemplifies X.
I'm trying to think what account I should go on.
I don't think he didn't he like address de re and de dicto though.
No,
he didn't address it. Okay, I definitely would like to see you say it and then just directly attack that and see what happens.
All right, I'll be back.
All right.
These groups.
Myself over here a little bit.
But the problem is that in types of
I hope this happens, bro.
I'm actually going to be going live in a bit with Wi-Fi on YouTube.
Yeah.
To do a review of Christian King's review of my last conversation with Joel.
You're doing a review of Christian King's review?
With the one where he posted like saying that I got cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy that has his microphone like this, and he just talks about how we're getting cooked.
In the corniest soundboard in the world.
Yeah.
So if you cancel out, or if you have one part of the set or one number of the set that's lost, it's a different set, right? So let's say that in the case of God, it's a set.
Yo, he's getting better with this stream
1, 2,
and stuff,
3, 4,
bro.
5, 6. That's the set. And those are, let's say, attributes. But if I remove the number 3, even though 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 are the
full
same,
screen,
they're identical. This is a completely different set. It only took the removal of one of the properties or attributes to have a completely different set. And as the Garrity paper argues, God is a lot more like that when it comes to the faith or the things that we believe about him to pick him out.
I hope it doesn't take too long to get somebody up here because like I don't want to just like watch a Jay Dyer stream for my stream.
An object in the world
Yo,
where I
Bryce,
can get a
Jay,
couple
and Jay
things right,
Dyer dual
couple
stream
things
right
Yeah,
here.
look at this
Some of us
dude.
say
Yeah,
different things, and we're still referring to the same thing.
Jay, you're so right.
So this is in the Garrity paper. You can read it right
It's
here.
it's over there in the Garrity paper.
If you look here,
Yeah, for real.
A few pages in is where he talks about the monotheism,
Oh, okay.
qualifier shift.
Yeah.
Here he lists Richard Swinburne's 9 or 10 supposedly core doctrines that pick out the monad, one true essence God.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense, Jay. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so I guess he's so Chris is currently labeled on Twitter as Crip Massa.
Actually, when you start really getting into it, naming and
So he's gonna go up there. I hope it works.
actually makes it more complex because the term God is not rigid. For example, Aristotle's God does not exercise providence.
Bryce really just made himself into the meme of bro is not part of the team.
Yeah, I know. I'm just sitting there and I'm like,
But so they're not the same.
oh,
thus-
oh. I need to get a green screen so I could do this professionally.
To be fair, at the rate that you're going, bro, you'll probably have a stream.
Secondly, he says it's not
Someday,
clear
maybe.
that the
That'd be kinda cool.
list is intended to be understood as
The stream
Just hoping
title
it-
is Why St. Augustine Did Not Teach Filioque.
or an alternating.
Yeah, that could. Yeah, that's gonna. Yeah.
Long conjunct.
I pray for that day. I pray for that day that he holds that position, bro.
Like I listed, where's mine?
That's such a based position.
'Cause if it's a
818
long
key
conjunct,
in the comments.
and
We
I
don't
take out
affirm divine
some
command
things,
theory in the
it's no
sense
longer the
that
same.
Protestants do.
So you can read the Garrity paper if you want. It gets pretty.
Things aren't good because God says they're
And
good.
A lot of the arguments that you hear us make.
God is the standard for good because it is an expression of what He is.
Oh, Michael Brown and Jay Dyer are coming on your stream next week, Nick. That's dope. I know you've had
What's
a.
up, Nick?
I know you've had a debate or two, or not a debate. I know you've had a stream or two with Jay, talking about Trinity stuff. Catholics versus Jay. Pretty much the title that he's doing apparently right now is just do Catholics worship the same God as Muslims? And Chris from the Catholic guy that we bring up here all the time is going to go try to talk to Jay Dyer. So I want to see this happen. I've got to see this happen.
Gereby. Jade and $5. In Philip K. Dick's novel Divine Invasion, there's a future merging of the
What's up? God bless,
into
guys.
a
Hey, what's up, Nick?
church
How you doing?
What's up, bro?
Wow, well that's
Good.
God bless, Nick.
like the Orange
God
County
bless.
Bible of Dune. Robin, so this is.
Did he
kind of
say he's
what
taking
they
people up?
like they
Yeah.
saw that there would be
Yeah, it says
Chris Long
open calls,
would be emerging
but I
Oh.
think he
as a geopolitical.
wait.
You know,
He hasn't.
project. Robin Rage $10. The first
Oh
caller
shit! He's
flopped.
been debating for 3 hours already. I don't know if he's gonna do it.
Muslims worship
Dang.
any god.
Maybe I'll super chat him.
It says they worship.
Low-key, yeah, that's what I was thinking about
any
doing. Yeah, you
God.
said.
Exactly. That guy's an idiot, not Jay.
2 hours and
I mean,
10 minutes of that were his
funny,
his loading
that
screen.
he kept stressing
Yeah.
that's not, and the other guy that called in too, the guy that was evangelical.
Oh, so he just recently started
He's not
debating
saying
then.
that they really do this.
You guys are gonna
He's
see my
saying
code.
this is what they
Don't dox me.
profess to believe. No, it says together with us.
I'm gonna get him in there.
Oh, I see you.
$5. And by the way, everything that we read in the John Paul address to the Muslim youth is even stronger than Vatican II. JV Peltier $5. Okay, I'm not an expert, says the sophist Goober. Suko $2. I can't believe Roman Catholics don't use the Bible to define this issue.
Thanks for the Chick-fil-A, Bryce. Oh yeah, fair enough, bro.
Suko $5. Perhaps the Nectal brothers were right. Vatican III might be coming soon. Oh, I don't know if they said that, but yeah, maybe we will get a Vatican III. JV Peltier $5. The mission of a sophist is basically get Jay to agree with me by any means necessary. Yeah, and then take that and clip it and say Dyer conceded. Jester Spectre became a.
Oh, Rattlesnake TV just rated him.
Catholicism is
Getting a bunch of viewers now.
It is pretty much moved into being that nowadays. D Chill, 8 pounds. I may be a Protestant. We disagree on a lot, but we do agree on this. Praise be to the true God. What's up to Jake Rattlesnake and his viewers? He dumped some people over here. Zalmoxis, $20.
Read my thing!
Like me saying, I know Larry the Fireman. You say you know Larry the Fireman. But Larry is a Czech guy in Ohio. And the guy that you say is Larry is a Mexican guy in Texas. Exactly.
Making sure he stays in there.
Later learned that it's two totally different people. Yeah, it's the same analogy with there's Bill Cosby, and then there's the scammers who put together the Charlie Cosby concert that everybody paid.
Yo, Nick, put it in the chat. Say bring up Crip Massa.
I did. You look right above the $5 super chat. You see Fearless Truth?
Deception. Grizzly $5. Roman Catholics are all just using Dawa logic. I'm surprised they haven't claimed that the original Vatican II text was corrupted. They wait till they go.
I'm not trying to discuss with Jay. Chris is going to discuss with Jay.
That's where we're going. Neo-traditional new $10.
Yeah, I know.
This is like growing up with a
stepdad.
Talk about patristic, yeah.
When someone says the subject receiving your love is your birth dad because you profess to love someone with the title dad. It is not the same dad. Oh, that's a good analogy. These are all variants, by the way, on my analogy of Bill Cosby, Kai's analogy with the Rolex, and then the fake Rolex.
Bro, his camera looks insane now.
I know, way better than it used to be.
Yeah, what the heck?
We both believe in.
I think he went from using like a Logitech Brio to like actually having a real camera.
I called Larry my stepdad, and so therefore I'm loving my real dad named Larry just because it's the same guy named Larry. Mike $10. The Pope's Triple Crown hat now represents the three Abrahamic faiths.
I pray that Jay learns to be a healing presence. Yeah, that would be cool. A healing presence.
Trev Lotus, £6. Could you recommend History on the Crusades?
Nah, he's the alcohol you have to pour in the wound to disinfect it.
Honestly, yeah.
Do you think he's only reading the ones that are on Streamlabs, maybe?
No. There's just a lot of them, and he normally doesn't read them until like randomly in the middle of the stream. Like he'll just start reading all of them. So I'm hoping he just catches mine.
I have both, but I've only read the smaller one. What about Rome versus Byzantium on politics and crusade context? Oh, that would be the Papadakis Meyendorff book.
Come on, bro.
Let me grab it because I always forget this. While I grab this book, you guys, I want to remind you that we have a show sponsor, and that is chalk.com.
Oh, now he's going to plug Chalk.
Take Chalk, yell at your boss.
Yeah.
Bruh, ain't no way.
Crazy real quick. Most of these Zoomer gym bros are consuming macro.
What is this ad?
There's no way.
Dude, the Chalk ads are hilarious. I don't care.
So he's fully into the AI shit now?
Great about that. Do not listen any further unless you are an alpha or sigma male. This is important, and there could be
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Sigma male pre-workout powder for sigmas only. It is guaranteed to empower you to dominate your co-workers, fire your boss, aggressively gamble, or invade.
Aggressively gamble.
Mode stands out from the crowd by excluding artificial flavors, preservatives, sweeteners, and dyes.
Yo, chat, do I try to get a thing with Chalk.com? Should I try that?
Hey, that'd be hard.
Experience the pure goodness of
The low-key probably paying him pretty good, I ain't gonna lie.
Spirulina extract, organic lemon, cherry.
Hannah, my wife told me I can't, so it's all good. She said no.
No, you're cooked.
Never let me do anything fun.
That's not very Sigma of you.
That's not very Sigma of me. Yeah, because I'm listening to my wife. Why am I doing that? You're right, schoolboy. I'll listen to what you said. I should not listen to my wife.
There you go.
I do what I want. She's going to come down here and smack the shit out of me from the back of my head, though.
The book.
That should be the ad. He smacks you in the back.
He played the ad again! Oh,
Duh.
Bro, he ended the space?
No.
Oh.
Bruh.
I sent the dono for nothing now.
And in terms of us,
I freaking dude, I super chatted $5 saying to bring you up, and they ended the space. That's crazy.
Bro, he said my name, so he said do an emoji. I did an emoji. He said Crip Massa. He said Crip Massa disagrees, and then he just ended it because he was talking to a guy named Tony.
Wait, you got brought up?
No. he said my name, right? So he's like, it's like Tony. He said, do an emoji if you disagree to like the Twitter spin. A bunch of people did an emoji. He said my name. They said another guy named Tony. He started talking to Tony, and then he ended the space.
Get access to it. It takes a couple weeks.
The hell?
Or did he block you?
No, I said he ended the space. I don't know why he would block me.
I don't know. Maybe because your name was Crip Massa.
I'm a Protestant turning Orthodox.
It's kind of
I
based
can't
though.
wait to see AP debate Trent
And I can't go on my other account, bro, because it's like my baseball stuff.
on the Quran. Yeah, I mean, I don't know where that's gonna go.
Nah, it's ended. I looked at it too.
Not because I doubt.
Damn. All right. Well, I'm not gonna sit here and just watch a Jay Dyer stream as my stream.
Oh, bro, I wanted 100 roses, dude.
I know, bro. I was so excited for that too.
Bro,
I was like freaking hardcore down.
Content.
Yeah, it would
Would
have
have been like such good content.
The Islamic Dilemma live debates.
Well,
Yo,
Nick,
Chris, go LARP as a Shia
Where?
on God Logic.
Dude, I haven't been a Shia in like 2 years.
Oh my gosh, bro.
Bro, I wasn't like a real Shia,
It shouldn't
dude.
be hard. You're a Roman Catholic. You worship the same God.
De dicto.
De dicto. Schoolboy. De dicto. What is that from, by the way? Like, whose theology is that?
That's from the Jay Dyer and.
I know that, but like, what is the theology from?
It's philosophy. It's from like Quine, Geach, a couple other philosophers.
Okay, it's like a philosophy of language concept.
Yeah, it's like sense reference stuff. It's like modality stuff.
Yo, did you see Sig's recent stream, Schoolboy?
Yeah, did you see how he made it the sign of the cross?
No, I didn't.
Well, he's the EO, bro.
Yeah, everybody knows that now.
Yeah, everybody knows that at this point.
Yeah,
especially
it was the sloppiest cross I've ever seen. He did it with an open hand.
Bro, he's chilling, man. I'm just glad he's
Nick,
going over there.
Nick, do you believe in the de re de dicto distinction?
Bro, what the frick? I mean, using these dang scholastic terms is crazy.
These aren't scholastic terms, by the way. But
So what is de re and de dicto if it's not scholastic? Where does it come from?
it's just Aristotelian notions, bro.
There's no way, bro. I need to see Aristotle say this.
That's scholastic, man.
Yeah, I need to see Aristotle say this.
Bro, there's Aristotelians that talk about it.
Where does Aristotle say it, though?
I don't even know if any scholastic says de re de dicto.
Wait, hold on, because you said that it's something that's Aristotelian, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is... Yeah.
Aristotelian in the broad sense. Yeah.
I don't even know what that's supposed
Man, what the hell, boy? What did you just say, boy? Oh, my God.
Yeah, the filioque based, bro. Nick, bro, when are you going to become a filioquist, bro?
to Never. The frig?
Bro, that's so bananas, bro.
No, bro. Never. Never leaving the true church, dog. Come on now.
Well, I don't know if that's the true church, bro.
I don't know, bro. They don't accept the
Right.
filioque, bro.
De re, you're in the real church.
Yeah.
Or eternal manifestation just reduces the cause, bro.
Dude, I literally... Nick, go ahead and go watch the YouTube video I had with Chris and decide whether or not what he said is cap. I had a 45-minute debate with him on that bullshit. I know he's not still saying that.
What's it labeled?
Hmm?
What's it labeled on
Who
YouTube?
knows, bro? It's from like 2 months ago.
Yeah, it's a long time. Hold on, let me find it. LPT, filioque. Maybe it was the one with Ortho Chat. Let's find out. No.
Yeah, you should watch the PSA one too.
Yeah, we see it, man. Yeah, it's
No,
very
the what's it
strange.
called? The Ortho Chat one was when John crashed out over Father John Romanides.
He's Muslim. Okay, so is green real?
Something is from the Father through the Son and the Spirit. Yeah. Yeah, I see.
In the world where
Be hypothetical.
Means like I'm
There's a bunch of
Shahada.
just lost it. Like they do not have to profess.
Yeah, we can hear all the noise, by the way, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Different person, and I know.
Oh.
You want to see me twice?
Like 18 years.
Oh, no.
Christ conception.
Here on Earth.
You want to see something terrible happen? I wonder what's gonna happen if I do this.
Yeah, we can hear all the noise, by the way, bro.
Yeah, I know.
Oh no.
Bruh, heck,
You want to see me twice?
Infinite regress.
Infinite regress, bro. We're going for it. Infinite loop. Something terrible happen.
Oh heck. Oh.
We gonna test out the infinite loop.
You scored it, Brad.
Is it?
We're
is it the
gonna
one
be able to
that's-
see it happen in real time too, because it's gonna like
Bruh, heck.
progressively.
Is it the one from 3 months ago?
Infinite regress.
Infinite regress, bro. We're going for it. Infinite loop.
Hey. Oh heck.
We gonna test out the infinite loop.
Is it the
We're
one
gonna be able to
that's-
see it happen in real time
Bruh.
because it's gonna like progressively. Hold on, guys. Let's harmonize.
Infinite regress, bro.
I can't tell if he's saying it again or not.
Infinite regress. Infinite loop.
Bruh.
Bro, fries, bro.
Hold on,
Fries.
guys. Let's harmonize.
Bro.
Infinite regress, bro.
That's so stupid. I can't tell if he's saying it again or not.
This is so good. Infinite regress. Infinite loop. Oh my god. Alright, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna join the stream.
Yo.
Bro, did you figure out which video it was?
Yeah, let me try again. Hold on.
Was it the one where it said discussion, a Q&A on the Filioque, maybe?
I can't, dude. I just freaking like.
Dude, basically just look for like a Google Doc that says X then Y.
What?
Yeah, that's the frame that you need, bro.
I know, I'm trying to figure out the actual video, though.
Linked to.
Or judges.
God and use it, dude.
Using the term different.
No, that's a different one. That's the time. That's when we're talking about middle knowledge.
Yeah. Is it this one? Is it the hilarious stream?
Exactly.
The point. I'm
To nature's. They worship.
No, that was when I talked with Peter, is Muslim, and then he said that the Atlantic Ocean is fresh water. That's a different one.
Bro, he's so slow.
That was hilarious.
on stream. Sorry.
Day Ray or
Technically,
Day
the priest is the one that's.
Schismatic from
There it is. There it is.
Is this it?
I think so. No, maybe.
Oh no, this is the one where freaking John crashes out about Father Romanides. I'm looking for the one where you and I talked about eternal manifestation for like an hour, bro.
That might be like the one before.
Is it this one?
The sun cannot.
It is this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the latest video that I've uploaded. So it was a month ago.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see it then, yeah.
Yeah. Bryce, if you don't fix your mic, I'm gonna come to your house and fix it for. What are you talking about?
Yo, Nick, you can add me on Discord if you want the.
The gain is a little strong. It does get distorted when you get loud.
Okay, how about now?
If you want the argument live, Nick, I can just get you on Discord.
What do you mean the argument live?
Like I could just like run it on you like on DC.
Do you have a limiter on or only gain?
My Discord is the same as my username.
I just have the volume up on it. Hold on.
Sounds fine, I think.
It gets distorted when it gets loud. That's the only issue.
Don't scream.
Ah!
I don't know as he screams.
Was that bad?
You just have to put a limiter towards the top end.
Yeah, I think so. You know, just make it to where like my voice just cuts out like Boogie 2988. You know. Let me get our daily
Do you
one.
think white people should be allowed to say the N-word?
No.
Bro, Bryce,
Oh,
you know
shit, the
an
table's leaving. What the?
Bryce, you know an atheist named Mello helped me with those arguments.
An atheist named Mello.
He used to be Christian. It's a dude with a really deep voice.
Yeah, he helped me with the Filioque arguments.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. That's not a flex at all.
That is, he's based. I love Mello. Shout out to Mello.
Dude, if I told you that I had an argument against Thomistic ADS and Dr. Khalil Andani helped me? You think that would sound slimy as shit?
No,
Like why you'd be like why are you conversing with freaking muzzies?
No, Dr. Khalil's based.
This is like earlier when I was debating an atheist and Abramos was rooting on the atheist.
Abrahamos is based.
Let's watch Wings of Redemption clips. I'll get banned from YouTube if I do that, bro.
Yeah, Bryce, can you answer DK's question? Are you oying the vey or veying the oy?
I'm veying the oy.
Ew.
It's better than oying the vey. What is that? What you do?
No. Yeah.
Wow.
Anime universes.
Wow. You guys need to watch Fire Force. Actually, don't watch Fire Force.
This man's gatekeeping.
Too bad I've already done it.
Yeah, don't watch Fire Force, bro. If you're somebody who
He's saying it because it's a gooner.
It's a gooner show. Yeah, don't watch that shit.
Yo,
I forgot
Nick,
about it. The story's so good, but man, that show is so bad with fan service. Not even fun.
Yo, Nick, do we worship the same God as the Muslims, Day Ray or Day Dicto?
Yeah, Day Ray or Day Dicto, Nick.
I don't know. You gotta define the scholastic terms. Let me know.
Oh, so you don't even know what that means? Then why are you here?
Dang,
You see how that show? That's what Anas did to me yesterday.
I'm cooked.
You don't even know what B theory is? How you make claims?
You don't know what B theory is, bro?
I've never studied philosophy of time, except for Saint Maximus's like theory regarding Aeon and Chronos.
It's just that like all things have true simultaneity, but have a logical concurrence, or not like a logical concurrence, a logical order.
Basically, time is not linear.
Time is not linear.
It's only logically linear, but true simultaneity.
What do you think? What do you think our position is? Huh? You
Bruh,
think you can hold to either one?
You cannot hold the B theory and be a Christian.
You can't hold the B theory. Why not?
Yes, you can.
No, the frick you can.
Oh, debate time.
Please tell me how you can hold the B theory and be a Christian.
Wait,
grab the door again.
You made the first claim, and it was a negative claim, so you got to prove that.
Because by definition, then we would exist at the same time as Adam and Eve in the garden. If there was B theory of time. And also, if you say that there's B theory of time, if you hold to B theory of time as well, you're saying time wasn't created because in B theory of time, there's no starting point of time.
What do you mean it doesn't mean that it's created, bro?
There's no start in B theory. There's
bro,
no
you can have a logical cause of time and not have like prior, like actual
starting point.
Temporal priorness to it, bro. What?
No, there's no starting point in B theory of time. It's literally
there's a logical starting
existence.
point. There can be a logical starting point.
Okay, but there's no metaphysical starting point.
Okay.
So we would be metaphysically eternal.
Wait. It depends because, like, even Saint Augustine defends the fact that it's possible that even though there's an eternality of the universe, it doesn't negate the fact that there can be a prior cause in which God eternally creates the universe. He says that in De Civitate Dei.
Yeah, the issue is you would also have to say, though, that we would still be eternal in the same way that he says that the universe is eternal in that way. So we'd exist at the same time as everything else. So you'd have to say that we literally existed at the same time as Augustine.
Really, but not logically.
So really we exist at the same time as Augustine?
Sure.
How the frick do we exist at the same time as Augustine, bro?
Bro, B theory, bro.
But that's not justifying the claim. It's how.
Yes, it is, bro.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is, bro.
That boy begging the question.
How's it begging the question, bro? It's
just is that way, bro.
It's an axiom, bro.
Oh, heck nah. Okay, it's axiomatic that A theory is true.
Yeah, you got to prove that, buddy.
No, it's just an axiom.
Nope.
No, it's axiomatic.
Well, no, I don't think it's a self-evident truth, bro.
Okay, I don't think B theory being true is a self-evident truth either.
I think it is. Look around you.
Prove it.
Look around you.
Nah, look around you.
Is there anything around me? Am I around you?
Oh my God! Now we got a solid now. This man's all into hard solipsism. I don't know. You might just be a brain in the back. Who knows?
Or is it the dictum?
Nah.
Bruh. Nah, you a brain in a vat, dog.
Sorry, I'm back.
Proof?
You are literally in a vat right now.
Wait, how do you know I'm not touching your brain right now?
No, you're not. You're a brain in a vat. That's
how
what
how do you know I'm not touching your brain?
Axiomatic.
How is it axiomatic? I deny axioms.
I deny you.
I deny
Easy.
you.
It's too easy.
All right, well, good.
Ooh.
Bro,
Now what do we do?
I deny everything. Yeah.
Realism.
Yo, Bryce, why do you deny axioms?
What do you mean?
You
I
said you
deny
axioms.
I deny axioms if they sorry, okay. I deny axioms if they are something that's just arbitrarily proclaimed for an argument. But if we're talking about if we're talking about an argument that, like, for example, we both agree upon modal logic or something, and then I declare like the S5 axiom, and then you deny it, you're just a sophist dickhead.
I'm just a sophist dickhead. How is that true?
No. Like, whoever denies it is a sophist dickhead.
Why?
Like, if we both say, let's talk about modal logic, and then somebody says, I deny modality, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Well, what if they're a modal anti-realist?
I don't care. I just call him an idiot, and then I kick him.
Like, if
That
they're
doesn't
like
actually exist.
I just call him an idiot, and I boot him out of my stream.
the necessitarians are literally a form of modal anti-realism.
Yeah, I just boot him out.
Why?
Well, I talked to him, you know? My wife sent me a picture of my own
So, like,
toes.
what if God went rogue?
Wait, so Bryce, you said you're a neoclassical theist, right?
Yeah.
What church father held the neoclassical theism?
All of them.
Name one.
St. John of Damascus.
St. John of Damascus. How did St. John of Damascus believe in neoclassical theism?
What is well, hold on. So, like, with neoclassical theism, what do you think is like an axiom in that view? What is playing? What is this?
Bro, you're lagging really bad, bro.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not. You're a lying. You're a lying dog, Chris. No, I'm not.
No, bro. Dude, your mouth on my screen isn't moving, but I can hear your voice.
Sounds like your stream's not working. Restart the app, ma'am.
Yeah, buddy, it's because of a beard.
What, that his beard doesn't work?
Bruh. See, of course you Latins don't know nothing about beards.
Well, my church, we have beards.
But I guess nobody can answer my question. What did you ask? Tea or coffee? Hold on. Let me check.
So,
I don't.
what's my question?
Yeah, you said if any fathers held to neoclassical theism, and you said name one that did, and then you said how did he, and so then I asked you a clarifying question saying what is something that neoclassical theists hold that classical theists don't hold.
I think neoclassical theism is a reverse of one of the theses or all of the theses that classical theists believe. So, like, if God is divinely simple, then he's composed. If he's atemporal, then he's temporal. If he is immutable, then he's mutable.
No.
That's what Ryan Mullins says.
God performed judgment in first actuality. Yeah, do you even understand what that means, Justin? You think that freaking the divine judgment has already been acted upon creation right now? Like, are you serious?
Yeah, like look what DK said. He said that the four theses are divine simplicity, immutability, impassibility, and atemporality.
Okay, I mean, neoclassical theism just simply holds to the fact that like, these things aren't axiomatic and that certain things can be stated in different ways. Rather.
I'm gonna take DK's like.
That's literally okay. No, that's not what it means in that. That's not what it means in that sense, Justin, bro. I'm using the Cappadocian definitions. Like, yeah, I understand that, like the scholastic method, it has a little bit of a different explanation for that. But I'm just using it in the way and difference between dynamis and energeia.
Which neoclassical philosophers are you referring to?
The Cappadocian fathers.
No, that you get your definition from.
The Cappadocian fathers.
They don't define neoclassical theism.
Of course they don't, because in order for it to be classical, it has to be within that time period.
Okay, so what's
so then
like where are you getting your definition from?
You're asking. Oh, okay, no, Joe Schmid.
Joe Schmid. What does Joe Schmid say?
He's not even really a theist himself. He's an agnostic, but he makes arguments.
I know who he is.
Yeah. So
what is his definition?
I think it was in his paper, "The Fruitful Death of Modal Collapse." I think.
Okay, can I see it?
I don't have it up right now. Do you want me to just like show it? I just gave you something.
Like I just want like the definition, like just on the screen.
All right, I'm just looking up on Google. How about that? I don't have his paper on me. Let's just look it up now.
Bro, fries, bro. It's probably
Yeah,
on,
it's
like,
just fries, bro.
It's on Phil Archive, dude.
Phil Archive?
Yeah, look up Phil. Like, you know what Phil Archive is?
The definition. Alongside J. Dyer. I don't know what that means.
Bro, I love Tracy, bro. That's my goat. De dicto or de re? Yo, Cataclysm said no saint taught neoclassical theism. So real.
No saint taught classical theism either, Cataclysm, if you're with that logic. Considering that classical theism has to do with medieval times. I know damn well that you're not holding that position. If so, your phronema is cooked. I'm talking to Cataclysm. You can hold that. You're Catholic.
I'm Catholic?
You're Catholic, so I mean, like, if you want to hold that, you can.
Said that you're Catholic and I'm not Catholic.
Yeah. If it's a little C Catholic. Yeah.
Little C. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, me neither. I just made that up on the spot.
De re Catholic.
Yeah. De re or de dicto?
If I'm de re Catholic, that means I'm truly Catholic.
So de dicto Catholic, you just profess
He
it?
is truly Catholic, though, for real.
Oh, I am really Catholic? Oh, thank you.
De dicto is you just, like, profess it, right?
Well, de dicto is just the interpretation of such reference.
No, that's cooked. If the fathers don't detach from classical theism, we are cooked. Correct. Yeah, exactly. The fathers were analytic philosophers. Thank you, Tracy. That's the type of freaking brain rot that people go to nowadays.
What's the argument against them?
Yeah, dude. They basically were just all following like Wittgenstein level axioms, bro. Prove me wrong. I just say no you, and then I just don't make an argument. I'm gonna be real.
So, like, you have Joe Schmidt's paper?
Huh? No.
You have Joe Schmidt's paper? No. Did you look on Phil Archive?
No.
Yeah, usually all Joe Schmidt stuff's on Phil Archive.
You're gonna make me read through this whole paper again to find the thing that I said?
Just like hit Control F, dude. For definitions. Or like neoclassical theism is over, or like fries,
Can we just say fries? I really don't want to do this shit. Like, I don't have the effort.
No, I want to do it. Pause.
Why are you making me do this, bro?
Bro, because you said you're a neoclassical theist. And I don't think that the Eastern Orthodox Church...
If there was to be a definition, right, regarding the way that EED works, it doesn't conform to the general statements of classical theism. That was the reason. That's the reason why that I said that. Do you understand? Do you understand? What?
No, say it again.
That the way that EED works, that we don't conform entirely to the understanding of just classical theism. That's why I said what I said. So you trying to like
just classical theism? I don't know what that means,
bro. What are you doing right now? Are you clip farming me? Like, what is going on?
No, I'm not. No,
okay. So then how do you not understand what I just said?
Dude, you said like we don't just conform to classical theism. I don't like. What is there more? Like you apply to like both neoclassical and classical theism. Like what the heck? Are you?
No, like, you would only hold to either neo or not neo, of course.
Okay, so then what does it mean we don't just hold the classical theism, dude?
That would be saying that we follow neo. Why are you being like this?
What do you mean?
That's bro. All right, bro.
It's a false dichotomy.
I just don't know what's happening.
God.
I'm not rage baiting. Like I'm not. I've rage baited Bryce.
You're dude. I just told you like why we would be considered that, just because we don't hold entirely to the understandings of classical theism.
What
So
is-
then,
okay,
by
I don't even know what that
definition,
means.
yeah, exactly. He's doing it again.
Because like what does it mean to like hold to impassibility, immutability, DDS?
Because they're
because
in
at the same time.
because in the neo view, there's a lot of insofar as is included when you talk about God is immutable.
So you think God's immutable but not immutable?
Look, you see that? I said insofar as, and he thought that it was a P and not P, bro.
I'm just asking. Like, I'm
You
not
know
saying
that's
it's
not what insofar as means, bro. You're rage baiting me right now.
No, but like you think it's both?
No, I'm saying that there is specific
You don't think it's
explanations in the reasoning behind what immutability means in God.
So
Rather than
God
just
is
saying-
immutable in one sense, immutable in another.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I asked. Yeah. DK said, which of the theses of classical theism do you reject? Do you reject divine simplicity?
I don't just reject them. I believe that there's just explanatory, like insofar as, that applies to each one that is explained differently than a standard of classical theism.
Okay, so how is God
Bryce
temporal?
what?
So
Because
one
he
of the
because he
theses-
enters time and space.
Because he enters time and space? Where?
Yeah, so then in a sense he could be considered that.
So God, like
Watch
God per
what he's
se-
gonna do.
Wait, so God per se enters creation?
God enters creation. So then in a sense you could also say that God temporally does things because he enters creation
How does he enter creation?
by his energies.
By his energies. And they stay uncreated?
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's a difference between Chronos and Aeon. That's why. So they.
Dude,
so
I don't
they-
know these Greek terms, bro. You need to put them in Latin, dude.
I don't even know what those are in Latin.
Fries, bro. So, like, what do these mean in English?
What?
What do these mean in English?
Chronos just mean like. I mean, do you want me to just give you like a definition? Because like technically speaking, Aeon and Chronos mean the same thing in English, but they're using different Greek terms. Sounds gibberish. Translate it to Thomism. You just called Saint Maximus the Confessor gibberish. Congratulations.
What? So what? Okay, what's the context that Chronos is used in?
Yeah, Chronos is the standard mark. I'll paint it. I'll do a schizo painting for you, Chris.
I'm gonna watch this like at 3 a.m. By the way.
That's fine. Right.
Probably not. But.
Linear time. Start point. God creates. Events occur linearly. The marching of time occurs until the day of judgment. Okay? So then therefore we can declare a past, a present, and a future. This is Chronos.
Okay. This is a time.
This is just simply us and what we perceive and deal with. Okay? The Aeon would be considered this. Timeless time.
Timeless time.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck does that mean?
Like where the angels exist.
Where the angels exist.
Timeless time.
Mm-hmm.
What
This
the
is
heck's
considered.
timeless time?
Yeah, this is considered the time. What's the argument for it? The fact that it was vindicated by Saint Maximus the Confessor.
Yeah, can you bring Rumi up?
He wants to come up here and deny Saint Maximus's theology. That's fine.
Yeah, Rumi, come up.
They got their own philosophy. Dude, I know that you guys are not saying this right now. Like, this is actually crazy.
Bro, Aons. That kind of sounds like the Gnostic stuff, bro. I don't know about this. Eons?
You guys are actually being blasphemous as shit right now. Do you not understand that? Do you want me to show you where
Aeons
the
is in
fathers
the Bible,
affirm this?
Bro, Aeons is in the Bible too.
What's
Oh my gosh. This is like actually blasphemous shit.
Nah, you just denying the Bible, bro.
That's crazy.
Bro, aren't the eons like the things that the Gnostics believe?
The Aeon is just the timeless time. The Aeons are creatures.
Oh, okay.
The Aeon, the Aeon is timeless time.
I don't know what that means. Like, can you explain it?
Yeah, so there's a starting point to Chronos, right? God chose to create. And then linear movement one way towards the end.
So is timeless
Aeon.
time always exist?
Yes. But you
No,
can also
it's
still
not-
pinpoint at anything right here. Pinpoints to anything at all times here.
It doesn't always exist. The aeon is not eternal.
Yeah, the aeon itself is not eternal. It's a timeless time, but it's the method in which things outside of Chronos
logical
exist.
ordering?
Not exactly. Wait, I don't know. Wait, what? Hold on.
I still don't know how this translates to English, bro. Remy, does this translate to English?
Timeless time.
Yeah, like I don't know what this is in English, bro.
No, frozen bag.
Hey, Wilkie barely speaks English to begin with. That's not a good question for him.
Yeah, the B cape. Anyways, right. I don't need English. Got Latin, got Thomism. Just need to speak Thomism. Then I'm saved.
Yo, what is this in Scotism?
I have no idea.
Timeless time. No, even the Scotus don't speak about this.
Like what is this in Suarez?
Are you guys rage baiting me? Please tell me you're rage baiting.
No, I don't know what timeless time is, dude. I don't even know what this means.
Wait, time is just the measurement change, so the measurement change from all eternity.
I can't believe this right now. This is literally the standard teaching of cosmology from St. Maximus and St. John of Damascus.
Bro, I don't know.
Are you guys seriously gonna like make fun of it?
Bro, no, I don't. I just
Wait,
don't know.
does Aristotle speak of this?
I have no idea. Would you
bring
take
Justin
Aristotle
up.
over him?
Yo, can you bring Justin
Well,
up?
no,
He's
we
an
would
instructor.
just look at St. Thomas's interpretation, then we like understand it from there.
There's no way, bro. You guys are actually rage baiting me.
Bro, I don't know.
Can I also know what timeless time is? Like, I don't know.
Yes, it would simply be considered the time that encompasses the entire Chronos.
It's
You said-
time that
Yeah, so it wouldn't.
time.
Yeah, so it wouldn't.
Entire
Yeah,
Chronos?
so then there wouldn't be a way to basically declare a beginning, a present, or an end in the aeon. Because anytime that something is declared as occurring in the aeon is always occurring at all times in Chronos.
So a timeless time is time and capturing the aeon,
Chronos?
right?
Say that again.
I mean Chronos. Sorry, yeah, Chronos.
Say that. No, say the whole thing one more time.
You said the timeless time is like time and capturing the Chronos.
In a way, yeah. I guess
Wait,
depending on what you mean by in capturing.
And the Chronos is what?
The Chronos is like the
Wait, hold on,
linear.
hold
The
on,
linear.
what Chronos is.
The Chronos is just the linear marching of time. It's just the space-time continuum.
Wait, so then what does the timeless part mean in the timeless name, the timeless time? What does that
Well,
mean?
calling it timeless time is simply just saying that because we can't pinpoint a specific point that we could declare events occurring in the aeon, right? So think of it like this: when John went to paradise, did he say that he saw the 24 elders?
You said when John went to paradise, did he say he saw 24 elders?
Yeah.
That's what
I'm
Revelation.
not too
5?
sure. He said a
Yeah.
lot of things he saw in heaven.
He said,
saw a lot of things.
yeah. So he said he saw the 24 elders, which is supposed to be the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 apostles, right?
Sure, yeah.
So did John see himself?
Maybe.
He did.
I don't know.
So
He did?
so paradise exists in the aeon. So it's a timeless time. So he was able to see himself, even though that he was only seeing a vision of said thing, but it was actually occurring.
Nah, my scholastic brain not hearing that. I don't know, bro.
But like, wait. Like, how is it used? How is aeon used in the Bible? Like the word.
I have to find the verses for it.
Maybe
Nick,
for, like,
did you say
ages.
where it is?
Yeah, I think it's used for
Yeah,
ages.
isn't it used for like ages to ages? Isn't that like
Yeah.
what they call that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, ages to ages in Greek is just like the aeon or whatever.
That just sounds like logical ordering to me, bro.
Ages to ages is logical ordering to you.
Well, when it's applied to God, yeah.
Wait, so let me understand this image.
This is cosmology, not God's existence.
The Chronos is the past, present, future.
Wait. So wait, does
So
God abide in
Justin,
the
Justin,
aeon?
hold on. So if you pinpoint a section of the Chronos right here, you would say if you are currently in this point in time that you are in the present, and then you can pinpoint things in the past, these events right here, and you can pinpoint things that may come in the future. Here, if you go to the aeon, you pinpoint everything as the present, no matter what, at all times in Chronos.
Oh yeah, I see exactly what Chris is talking about then. Yeah, I don't see how this is not just like, I don't see how the aeon is not just logical priority,
Wait,
because if
how
you're
is this not,
experiencing
like,
everything at
deeper?
once. Because if you're experiencing everything at once, then obviously you're not seeing it in some temporal succession. So it had to be in some logical succession.
Yeah, this is B theory. W.
Yeah, the Aeon is B theory. Yeah, the Aeon straight B theory, by the way. The Chronos.
Wait, what'd you say? You said the Chronos is A theory and the Aeon is B theory?
No, other way around. The Aeon looks like it's B theory. The Chronos looks like it's A theory.
Chronos would be eight. Yeah, Chronos would be A theory, right?
Yeah, Chronos would be A theory because that's just a
I
linear
don't know
marching of
about
time.
Aeon.
No, Aeon is definitely B theory.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so like, if there's only like a logical ordering in the Aeon, then how is it really time?
What do you mean?
Really?
It's just still declared as time because there's still the ability to perceive said thing.
So perceives it. Does God abide in the Aeon?
He exists in the Aeon that he created in terms of like a manifestation, but he doesn't he wasn't
So he
from
doesn't
like
really-
it doesn't abide alongside with him. He created it.
So he's not really in the Aeon.
He's not really inside of it. No.
So then how's God temporal then?
What do you mean? How's God temporal? Like I literally said that
what came up because we're saying that God is temporal or atemporal.
When I
This is
said
okay.
God obviously subsists and exists entirely atemporally, when I said that there is a stipulation where you could say that God is temporal, is when God enters creation for certain reasons, because God truly does do that in our view. So when
then
he
how
truly
the heck
does do that, he would then be that in that case. I have no idea.
You brought it up.
No, because when we started talking about uncreated energies, and you said, how did they stay uncreated in time, right? Is that what you said?
Okay, yeah.
This is what I did.
Okay, so Aeon, you said still created though.
Okay, the Aeon though can encompass things that are uncreated because it's timeless. In terms of it not actually having, in terms of it not having basically a state of requiring creation. It is still created because it's not identical to God.
God transcends the Aeon.
His existence technically transcends.
Wait, God transcends the Aeon?
He is transcendent.
I mean,
So
he wouldn't.
The lines you have on the Aeon, what are those lines exactly?
Like, so for example, it's basically just the example of like a person in the Aeon, like in paradise, for example, and they're perceiving something at this point in time right here, right? They can perceive all of creation. That's why they can hear prayers.
Wait, so God doesn't perceive stuff like that in the Aeon? How does he perceive stuff then if he's transcending that?
We just say that we just say that he's transcendent because assuming that God thinks in a likeness like this is not something we can just like automatically assume. I mean, like I said, we're extremely apophatic with the way that God is. So we would just say that he still transcends these concepts we have.
So real roomy. Okay, so if the energies,
You're too funny, bro. Too funny.
if the energies are in the,
I'm explaining the Eastern Fathers, bro. I mean, are they funny?
So like, are the energies like temporally atemporal?
Like, so they manifest in like a temporal sense? Is that what you're asking?
What? No. So if this is like timeless time,
economically,
then are the energies temporally atemporal?
They can take on a created sense for people that are like seeing them in physical senses, but then they also would have a noetic presence where they don't actually take on an actual form, but rather they have a spiritual sense.
Yeah,
in the
can you
noetic.
bring DK up?
do you realize how we break these down, Chris? So like,
I'm not even gonna hold on.
The divine Usia, right?
No, I think DK. He's more apt with this Eastern.
Yeah, bring my student up.
Your student.
Bring my student.
But so just for your benefit, Chris, I'll explain it real quick.
Yeah. What's up, student? How you doing?
The divine Usia.
Yeah, hello, Dad.
What's up, bro?
What were you saying, schoolboy? I'm sorry.
Possesses dynamis.
Dynamis, like power.
Yep.
Okay.
Actualizes these through energeia.
Energeia. Okay. Oive.
Which gives rise to an ergon.
A what?
An effect, bro.
An effect.
Okay, just to like translate like the Greek language, dynamis for Chris, dynamis power, energeia the actuality of an active power, ergon the effect or product of that particular energy.
Yes. Yeah, and I skipped hypostasis, but you guys know that. But Usia would be within a hypostasis that possesses dynamis that actualize it through energeia, and it produces an ergon.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, then okay, cool. Both of us are going to agree the divine operation intrinsically is numerically 1.
Yeah.
And as Palamas says within Epistle 6, we can name it as various in accordance with its ergon, or manifestations, or effects in the world. Correct?
No, he says energeia.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he says, like, we can say the energeia is multiple insofar as its effects or manifestations.
Yeah, it's
ergon.
the same way that we can say that they're notionally separate.
I'm not sure then, like
Like,
if we're going to articulate this.
like we can say they're notionally separate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as Eastern Orthodox.
I know your position.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, as I was going to say though, I don't have a problem with this view then, but it doesn't seem to be the negation of classical theism. Because let's just take like let's say like Davis used like Davis's definition of classical theism, like Grant's or Paul's, for example. They would say it's constituted by 4 individual theses, or usually 4. So first of all, simplicity, which would just be, X is simple if and only if everything that is intrinsic to X is identical to X. Immutability, which would be, X is immutable, if and only if there is no time or T1 and time T2, such that God has property P at T1 and lacks property P at T2. Or is not able to be causally effective, and then impassibility would just be God is impassible if and only if there exists no external entity or extrinsic entity E, and no property P such that I have an E's or like this in property Q causally determines whether God has or lacks P. And fourth, it would be aseity, which would just be independent from anything apart from him or extrinsic to him. So I'm not sure how this particular thesis you guys are affirming contradicts any of those theses that constitute classical theism.
Is there an objective definition to classical theism?
No. There's various definitions.
Okay. So then with that being said, if I say that like we held more to a neoclassical theism view, then what view of classical theism do you think I'm saying I'm rejecting?
I'm just saying like the majority view. I mean, there's different definitions of like classical theism I said at the beginning.
Okay. So then like how do we know like what truly is classical theism?
Oh, particularly from the use of these species. Because, for example...
But you said there's different definitions.
People would add different theses. Or not different theses, but additional theses. Which they would argue these other theses contain the other. So, for example, like immutability would contain impassibility, etc., etc. So, I'm just going to the majority view. But here's the thing. Neoclassical theists, so people like Martins, for example, although with that, I'm not neoclassical theists, but have written upon neoclassical theist philosophy. Like Schmidt, for example, would just say neoclassical theism is the reverse of these 4 theses that constitute classical theism.
There would just be a negation of like one or several.
Yeah, it would be the negation. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I described it, I just simply described it as basically saying that we would hold to a certain thing, and then we would give a specific reasoning for when that actually applies. So then I guess like what I'm trying to say is that the method of classical theism that I'd be rejecting, like for example, I'm trying to think specifically of like one of the examples in just classical theism in like the Thomistic sense.
Well, what would be a particular Thomistic sense that's differentiate from the other classical theisms?
Well, so like, would you say that like one of the like name the 4 theses, I guess, like from like, because I know obviously they all share the same theses, but is there any more in the Thomistic sense that apply?
Like in regards to how like the authors generally define classical theism, no, they usually just oppose to those 4.
For the Thomistic sense.
Yeah, the Thomists, especially contemporary analytical Thomists, just oppose to those particular 4 theses.
Mm-hmm.
From my memory, I'm not sure if they add any additional ones. There are obviously additional ones in regards to like certain attributes of God that are predicated to him.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said earlier, they would just follow from the other at least in their view. But with these four theses are laid out, so immutability, not in order, by the way, divine simplicity, immutability, impassibility, and then austerity. Would you modify any of these in a particular way?
What was the first one?
Simplicity, which would just be X is simple if and only if it doesn't have parts, and everything intrinsically predicated to it is identical to it.
Identical to it in terms of what?
Let's just say numerical identity.
Just in the res?
It will just bear a sameness relation.
Like for example, like when you say identical to it, are you referring to it like a material identity?
Yeah, like real identity, yeah.
I mean, if that's like, if you say that like the Thomistic understanding of classical theism is simply just those four things and there's no stipulations added onto it, and it's simply just material identity when you refer to, for example, divine simplicity, and that's all that requires, then I'm not really sure like what the contention would be.
Well, that's kind of what I've been wondering for a while now when I've seen these live streams, because you affirm there's a material identity between essence and energy in God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way
Gennadios affirms that. I mean, I don't have an issue with holding to that.
No, exactly. Like, this is why I prefer Scholarios over most theologians. He's very systematic and clear in this respect. He affirms a real identity between essence and energy in God. I mean, so do we. We affirm a real identity between God's essence and his operative principle.
Yeah, but like the method of distinction though is not the same, and I'm assuming you know that. You know he's not a Thomist, right?
Of course not. He applies a formal actual distinction.
Okay.
But there would, even in the formal actual distinction, would include real identity. Sure, we differ.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Divine essence and the divine attributes are distinguished from the other. You'd say it's an actual distinction. Would say it's logical. Clearly.
Yeah, I know.
But nevertheless, I'm finding to see the contention here with because it seems like whenever I've seen these lives, people are trying to argue that the Thomists affirm the divine attributes are formally identical. That is to say, the same in definition. So, for example, like a rug and a carpet. But no.
Have I made an argument like that?
No, I'm just saying it's just like an inference.
I was about to say, I think I made an argument like that when I was a catechumen.
Maybe, yeah, but I didn't know you when you was a catechumen. So, I'm just saying it's like an inference I've made from like just watching like these live streams. I'm not saying it's your argument, but I'm saying it seems to be a confusion. Because if you do affirm there's real identity, i.e. identity and reality between God's essence, i.e. and also his operative principle, i.e. his energy, then it seems to be no contention between us. I think the contention would be in which way they are distinguished.
Yeah, I mean, I completely concede in the fact that if there is more than one res distinguished, that that is a separation.
Wait, by the way, give me a second. Someone's giving me a call.
Like if we're talking about res as a being, like if you have multiple res, that would obviously declare multiple gods. I mean, I've held that for a long time. And there are some people, that misread the Palamite synods, and they think that the Palamite synods are holding to something like a major real distinction or something like that between the essence and the energies, which is crazy. It's like batshit insane.
Oy vey.
The reason why is because the Palamite synods, specifically the second one, does affirm a real distinction, but they say that it's as real as the persons insofar as it being a cause and effect. That's what that means. Jay Dyer does not hold to a major real distinction, bro. That's an ancient video that he has recanted. He recanted that statement a long time ago. He does not hold to that. He holds to the Scholarian view.
Bro, but Bryce, he said that it's the same distinction between the Father and Son.
He said it's real.
Yeah.
Therefore,
And
it means
obviously we
major real
presuppose-
automatically.
Exactly.
No. Wait, recanting is allowed? Exactly, Chris. No. Yes, he recanted, Honorius. Multiple times. Because there are people that have come up on his panels and said, "Yo, did you say that the essence and energies distinction is major real?" And he's like, "At the time, that probably wasn't the right thing to say," and he recanted that.
Hello, I'm back. Sorry, someone's calling me. Yeah, no, I agree.
I was talking about how, like, well, the thing that I was kind of talking about. What?
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think people who argue like the Palamas synods teach a major distinction are just schizophrenic, or they just haven't read the synod.
Well, I mean,
like
most of those people that argue something like that, though, they're people that watched like 2 videos of Jay Dyer and then misunderstood anything he said.
Yeah,
like, I mean that's
watching him isn't, like, in my opinion, the best characterization of like EO theology and philosophy.
Well, I mean, I understand like where he's coming from, and that allowed me to definitely dive deeper into the fathers and like understand how to articulate things myself. So that's the thing that I really do appreciate Jay Dyer for on like a lot of levels. It's just like there are some people though that are lazy as shit and don't actually study for themselves. They just turn on a 5-hour stream of Jay Dyer. Right? And then they just listen to him talk for 5 hours and then just regurgitate that shit to people.
Yeah, which is kind of bad. I mean, here's the thing. Most people, because when I was actually on here in the past, I was known as like a defender of Palamas in this respect. Even as a papist, as a filthy papist as I am now, I still defend Palamas in regards to divine simplicity. I think he definitely taught it. A bit more controversially, in a more of a controversial manner, actually. You disagree with me here. I'd actually argue that his noetic distinction, or the catepinoan distinction he employs, is more similar to the virtual distinction in the formula.
I definitely would disagree with that, just based on like some of the scholarly writings that have been made on that. But that's your opinion, bro.
Then, what would be your critique of a virtual distinction, i.e., distinguishing the divine essence and attributes virtually?
The critique of the virtual.
Yeah. Because like there's a few routes you can go down.
Oh, I mean, I just believe that it causes a worse ability to basically fall prey to collapse arguments.
Which particular?
I mean, any of them.
Okay, first of all, that's going to be the major. Okay, i.e. that it gives more room for collapse arguments succeeding. So the question becomes, how is this demonstrable?
Well, I mean, like one of the reasonings, like one of the arguments that are usually made when people are making, like for example, if somebody gives like a modal collapse argument to a Thomist, and then they suddenly start giving distinctions for things that didn't have distinctions prior. Like that's the thing that, like, when they're declaring their position, they're saying there's no distinction between these two things, right? Like there's a minor virtual distinction. There's not actually a distinction in any way. But then you give like a collapse argument. Okay, well, if they're the same, then this, and suddenly now there's a distinction, right? Like that's the problem.
I mean, a virtual distinction is a distinction. It has a foundation in reality. So, I mean, no one's going to say there's no difference.
It's not a logical distinction, because as far as I've read with like from like Edward, because I read a little bit of Edward Phaser on that. Like
I don't like Phaser.
You don't like Phaser? I've never even heard somebody say that.
Phaser is terrible. Listen, if you want to really take the Thomist pill. In English,
I don't want to take the Thomist pill. I just want to understand your position better.
Just for this instance, okay? You're going to read.
Yeah, what is it?
You're going to read Father Grenier and you're going to read Father Mercier. Okay, you're going to read those.
Who the hell is that?
Because because here's the thing. Edward Phaser is like an amateur when it comes to scholasticism. I mean, the guy isn't even able to make the distinction between active existence and active being. For example, he isn't even able to distinguish those. He's very introductory. But it's a logical distinction, yes, with a foundation in the thing. So, for example, take animality and rationality. They both have an imperfect raw identity with the suppositum of man. You cannot divide their genuses. They're considered logically distinct. But nevertheless, they would share a real identity with a real foundation in the thing itself. So I'm not sure, like, no one's going to deny there's a distinction per se. One's just going to deny they're really distinct, or actually distinct, which is just posterior to any work of the intellect. Because, let's say, for example, if they were...
Do you think Palamas didn't hold the same distinction as Scholarios?
I'm a big agnostic about that. I think in some areas it seems he does.
Okay, because Scholarios affirmed that Yeah, Scholarios affirmed that Palamas said the distinction was real and prior to the intellect. He said that himself.
Actual, yeah.
Yeah. So then with that, so then why do you hold to the fact that Palamas would then say, well, no, he didn't? Is Scholarios just wrong there?
No, I'm saying it's because here's the thing, and even Scholarios acknowledges this. Palamas can be a bit ambiguous in regards to his articulation of EUD at times.
Yeah, but apparently he was so ambiguous with his language that the Latins thought he was saying there was two reses. That's how bad he was talking.
That's a very bad translation of Epistle 3.
How do you know that?
No, what?
That it's a bad translation. That Juji didn't do that right. How do you know that?
That wasn't Jugi. That was the Palamas at his time that were badly translating the Epistle 3 as similar.
No, I thought you were saying that was a bad translation of like the OCGS. I was just like, what?
No,
I was like, who are you, bro?
No, the OCGS is it's a good compilation. Like Jugi was cooking here.
Okay.
But no, I'm saying in regards to like Palamas teaching three, like two different res. No, that's a bad translation of the three, of course. But I'm saying when it comes to certain texts, and this is why I would agree with Father Anton Levy. He's Catholic, so you wouldn't agree with him. But he's done some pretty good like inter-religious dialogue with the EOs. Most of his work is in French, though, unfortunately. You can find some of his stuff in English on Academia against Bradshaw.
Mm-hmm.
He basically argues that from certain texts, wherein Palamas applies the noetic distinction between the essence and energy, or he applies he says like certain energies are not distinguished prior to any work of the intellect.
Yeah.
Such as the transcendentals, like goodness, wisdom, love, etc. They would be one and the same prior to any work of the intellect. He would argue from those particular passages within the triads or the chapters that there's something more akin, not identical to, but more akin to the virtual distinction. I have an ambiguous stance on that because there are some passages that clearly contradict that. But if you want me to, I can send you some of the sources I've read upon this, because it's been 2 to 3 years since I actually studied the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of dry up on it right now.
So you said you hold to that position, but there's situations where it contradicts your position?
There are some ambiguities within Palamas' corpus that just makes me a bit rattled upon them.
You think that Palamas was changing his own position at times?
No, I just don't think he was clear enough.
Well,
I think there's certainly the development. You have to recognize that.
So then you do believe he changed his views?
I'm clarifying myself here now. Yeah, definitely in some sense, because, for example, let's take his Tries, for example, which is one of his earlier works.
Mm-hmm.
He even says this himself within his chapters. He elucidates his thought more extensively. He develops it quite a bit. And by the time he gets his chapters on homilies, you see a more matured Palamas in regards to the way in which he articulates ED. And for example, you can see the development from the Tries to Contra Aquidinos to then Contra Aquidinos into the chapters. There's certainly a development, but I'm not too keen on saying that Palamas' noetic distinction is exactly a thing. Like saying in some instances in this corpus, it seems very similar to it.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna hold the obviously Scholarios' position that it.
That's fine. Here's the thing,
because Scholarios is more historically accustomed to being able to make that claim in the first place. You know what I mean?
I agree with Scholarios insofar as there's a real, as I said, real identity between essence and energy. But the problem is that I don't even think, and after reading the text of people like Cardinal Azuli, for example, one of the Benedictine Thomists, and his refutation of the Scholists, that a formal actual distinction cannot even exist, even in creatures. I think a formal distinction is just impossible. There are a plethora of arguments for that. For example, you can't have an intermediate between actual and actual simplicateur and actual secundum quid, which the formal distinction tries to serve as.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have real identity between those formalities there. Or there's other ones that would relate them as acts in potency. For example, you would agree, let's say, because Scholarios in chapter 94, section 94 of his Exorcism, he says that
again the tome against Aquinas is De Ente et Essentia.
In his commentary upon the Ente when he's running against St. Thomas. He says
Rise the Catholic.
He uses energia.
Yo, DK.
And,
sorry, I don't want to derail what we just did, but this is a legendary conversation that I'd really love to see. Can you please talk to Ahmed Qureshi?
Oh, he jumped on the
Bro,
panel once,
DK,
asked me to do that in
please,
text
bro.
and started insulting me. I
What?
don't really. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he done that for.
Yo, I
I'll
do
just
not worship the same God as you, bro.
Oh my gosh, the man
So
himself.
bad.
W Muslim, bro. Oh my
Yo,
gosh.
W Ahmed, hold
W
on.
Ahmed Qureshi.
Dude, yo, Ahmed, bro, do you still hate me? Because, like, you kept calling me, like, a dumb piece of
I
shit.
don't know you, mate. I don't know your username. I thought you were Dash, the UK mate.
Why does your
You're so
accent? Why does your
confident.
accent get worse
Bro.
when you're rage baiting, bro?
Bro.
Wait,
Bro,
you
he's
know who
trying,
Dash
man.
is? The brown dude who
Yeah,
apparently
he's
we're
kind of
Muslim.
weird. I'm
I
not gonna
thought that
lie.
was you. I
No,
thought
I
you
don't
were
know Dash, bro. I don't know who
But
Dash
no,
is.
I never.
Wait, hang
I
on.
don't know
What,
who
like
you
the
are.
Anglican dude with, like, the curly hair?
Yeah, I don't know who you
Bro, I
are.
met him in person once, bro. But, bro, I gave him, like, a
But
book
yeah,
as
I don't
well.
worship the same God as you. I'm sorry.
Okay, GG's, bro. But, Bryce,
My
back
God
to the-
has meaning to his attributes. Your doesn't.
Right. Okay. Anyways, Bryce with that nice little smirk in the background.
the
DK
Pope-
running.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Pope is wrong.
I
Sorry.
don't even know what that's supposed to mean, bro. But I just got cooked. Okay, I can
Yo,
see.
I think the Pope is fallible. Not gonna lie, the Pope was fallible.
Okay, bro.
You mean
That's some low tier shit. All right.
Okay, anyways, okay, Bryce. So in his Exorcism, he uses the term formalities, at least the Greek translation he gets from Mairones, and energeia, energy is synonymously. And he says, and he agrees with the Scholasticism, that the formalities exclude each other definitionally. So they would relate to that, which is inactuable and then inactuable and then actuable. So that which is not realized and that which is realized. Well, the problem is, if composition is going to just be defined as a relation which relates to more things as acting policy, the formalities would be related as inactuable and inactuable. So the formalities would actualize the other, meaning that you would relate the formalities as acting policy in God, ergo God will be composed and not able to be distinguished from creatures. So that's like one critique of the formal distinction from the top of my head. That, for example,
that's not what Scholarios utilizes when he says formal distinction. He doesn't like automatically assume like the scotistic method when he refers to it as a formal actual distinction. Like his method of how he declares something to be formally and actually distinct, right? He's saying that it's simply just an apprehended quality of God that we can see in ourselves, that we ascend to God to recognize, and it is something that's objectively and definitionally grounded within him as an ends or a perfection. And then utilizing divine ideas and seeing things in the divine logi that allows us to apprehend said attributes, meaning that these are things that are entirely prior to the intellect, but it's the definitions that we are discovering. That's not the same thing as the scotistic sense.
I'd actually, on the contrary, I'd argue it is, because they say these formalities are distinguished prior to any work of the intellect.
Are they considered perfections, like objects in a sense?
So have you read volume 4 of the Ordinatio?
I've only read Ordinatio 1.
Okay, within volume 4, if I can recall correctly, Scotus, in his treatment, he has a lot of treatments upon the formal distinction of the divine attributes, but within volume 4, somewhere, if I can recall, he has this concept called eminent containment, okay, which is he basically takes this view that the formalities of these perfections, which are eminently contained and formally contained in the divine essence, so that there's a containment relation between the essence and its perfections, i.e. these formalities, and it distinguishes from which are applied to any work of the intellect. And to justify this, he gives the Augustinian analogy of the soul.
But the eminent containment, is that we're just referring to the definition, or is it referring to it in the sense as like a perfection or not, like a considered an ends?
The perfections are these formalities are contained in the divine essence.
So it refers to them as an ends.
Yeah, because they're identical to.
Can you show me a quote of that?
I mean, I haven't got.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, like I don't believe Scotus said that, man. I'm gonna be real.
Well, I don't have the sources on me right now. Obviously, we're mutual, so I'll just send you some stuff afterwards. But I will send you the relevant passages because Scotus affirms that. I mean, that's exactly why every single scholastic tradition, apart from the Scholastics themselves, and the various sub-schools within Scholasm, just despise Scotus because of his novel view upon the divine attributes and the divine essence and how they're distinguished. Because he taught an actual distinction, and it's kind of funny, You know who oh, what's his name? Joachim the Abbot Joachim was. Have you ever heard of that name? Abbot
No.
Joachim.
No.
Okay, he was the abbot at Lateran IV.
Wait, is it Joaquin? That's Joaquin.
Joaquin. Yeah, sorry. You know, je parle français. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So he's the guy at Lateran IV that gets condemned because he teaches a real entitative distinction between the divine essence and the divine persons and also the divine attributes.
Okay.
And it's funny because scholars and all the scholars, like people like Maastricht, Franz, and even Punz, who's like the fierce opponent of even Maastricht, argues, saying, okay, the real distinction between God and his attributes is not real, and that's an error, condemned. But then in the next passage, they would just immediately use this very same arguments that Abbot Joachim would use for a real entitative distinction between God's essence and his attributes. But they just modify it and say, oh, there's this real identity though, and they just substitute real entitative with formal. So they definitely teach it, and yeah, I'll send you the relevant passages. I mean, it's one of the most well-known things about scholarism.
I understand that, like, it seems like it would be considered extremely similar, but assuming that just because of the fact that there's similar concepts that are used between Scholarios and Scotus, and then saying then therefore they're teaching the same thing, that would be considered a word concept fallacy. Do you agree?
I agree. Okay, I agree.
So then collapsing him into that is then not correct.
Yeah, if we can have evidence for it, but I'm arguing we do, and it's particularly internal or intrinsic evidence, and also some extrinsic ones from Scholasticism corpus itself, which is.
Have you read Mark of Ephesus against Manuel Calicus?
No. Some EO friends, if you've ever heard of Ward, he's translated some of that by AI. I haven't read it though.
I've read the first Anseretic.
Okay, cool.
And then some of the Florentine documents as well. Actually,
I've read the Acta of Florence. Yeah,
well, not the Acts of Florence itself, but there was something that I think Saint Mark of Ephesus said against Manuel Calicus on Essence and Energies, where he praises actually the Scotistic or the Franciscan
I've seen that
sect, but then he also still says that they still didn't get it right. Do you remember that?
I've seen Father Kappas translate that passage. I know what passage you're referring to.
So then they wouldn't be teaching the same thing then, because Mark of Ephesus is the teacher of Scholarios.
We can talk about consistency, but first of all, let's talk about Scholasticism corpus. Sure, he was the teacher of Scholarios. That's true. That's undeniable. But when we look at the influences upon Scholarios himself, so particularly his Exorcism, which is the primary work I'm putting from here, and his commentary upon the Diente, particularly I think the pages. I mean, his Diente commentary is only like 400 pages. I think it's like pages 290 between 223. He explicitly says he gets his influences from Francis Meirones, one of the
Yes, I'm aware. Yeah. He references the formal real distinction in De Ante et Essentia's work.
Yeah, that's where he derives his metaphysical distinction.
He says that distinction is between the Father and the Father and the Essence.
Yeah, I know it's really I mean, I don't like this guy. Okay, but yes. He derives these metaphysical distinctions regarding the form of the
Does Scotus hold to that? Does Scotus hold to that distinction between essence and person?
I.e., that's a natural distinction?
Yes.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't even know that. I haven't read that. I don't think that was in Ordinatio 1. That's why. I need to read more of them.
Here's the thing with the Ordinatio. Like, you read 50 pages of him elucidating somebody else's position, then he finally gets into his position. It's really tedious and boring.
Yeah, I mean, it only takes about 100 pages, and then he goes, now the 23rd distinction, and I'm just like,
yeah, I mean, he's the solid doctor for a reason. I mean, too subtle in actuality. But yeah, anyways, so he derives these distinctions from Meirones, and he applies them to this energies distinction, and within this particular hermeneutic, i.e., this principle of interpreting Palamas. He applies it to his corpus because he thinks it's the most consistent. So he derives these from the scholars. This is a very clear scholars influence. And in regards to Mark of Ephesus, he praises the Franciscans. He's like, well, You know, these guys, they've got it more correct. They're not exactly right though. He doesn't exactly elucidate as to why they are not right here. It seems to just be a bit of like.
It has to. Well, I mean, Mark of Ephesus, like that's why I said, like, if you read like against Manuel Calicus, the reason why that why he said it's still not good enough is due to the theophanies, things like that, right? Like Scotus doesn't like talk very much on like theophanies in his views.
Sure.
Right. So does Scotus affirm that the theophanies are noetically participated in an uncreated sense?
I'm not sure about that.
Because like that would be a massive difference. Because like
for example, like textbooks of like scholar psychology, wherein like they talk about the intellectual vision of like the divinity. I'm not sure if they apply this to theophanies because the like pretty much the univocal, at least to my knowledge, from like the early medieval period onwards, from Augustinian, they would just say, well, theophanies are these created agents by virtue of which God communicates to creation.
You said Scotus?
No, I'm just saying univocally, like all the scholastics here.
Oh, okay.
Would just say
so then that would obviously but that's the thing though, is that now if you look at Scholarios' view on theophanies, he definitely does not affirm that.
That's fine.
So that shows that there's a greater distinction than between essence and energies in Scholarios.
What I'm trying to show here is that the particular metaphysical, the categories of distinctions he utilizes is pulled from the Scotus. That's what I'm trying to demonstrate. Because, by the way, I'll be actually you've sparked my curiosity here now. Could you give me the passage from Scholarios when he does affirm this?
Affirm what specifically the theophanies?
Yeah, that
like regarding.
There's an intellectual vision of these theophanies, and they are uncreated.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. It's probably taking a second.
Okay, cheers.
I think it's in Against Acandinos. Against the Barlamite. Let's see if I can find that here.
He writes his own work against the Palamites? I thought that's contained in his DNT work.
No, he has against the Barlamite, against the supporters of Acandinos, concerning a passage of Theodore Graptos. He wrote it in 1445.
Okay.
So
DK, they're about to pump back at Fortnite.
Yeah. So one of the things that he says in that passage, he says, "Someone would be considered mad to demand this, for with those terms in which the distinction of reason revolves, there would be sometime be leisure, with our soul being removed, which is able to fabricate such terms, as such the distinction in them. But the essence of God and energy and the difference in these will exist even when every soul and mind is removed. For being or subsisting or proceeding does not oppose the divine energy, whether internal or external, even if it should happen and all things are removed, which predicates these things of the divine energy." That's kind of like what he starts off with when he refers to that, because one of Acandinos, because I'm assuming like if you've read on Acandinos at all, that he had two different views. He had the original view where he just said the essence of God entered creation.
Yeah.
And then he contradicted himself at the second synod.
At the second synod, yeah, because then he tried to affirm there's a distinction between, I know.
Yeah.
Okay, from just prima facie reading of the text, how I interpret that is because, he does affirm that there's a noetic, i.e. intellectual vision of the divine energy, that's true. And then, one's soul is immediately separated from one's body, so they may partake of this vision. There are even like St. Thomas Aquinas would accept that in regards to like Moses, for example, when he saw the passage where he saw like the back of God, for example, he would just interpret that, same with St. Augustine in Epistle 188, to be a vision of the divine essence, intellectually. It's the formulation is different because he uses the term energeia, but nevertheless, it just seems to be referring to intellectual vision of the divinity. I'm not sure how that relates to, like, for example, the angel of God. Because surely you'd have to
so like the same type of thing would apply, obviously, the transfiguration. Would you agree?
I.e. that the apostles saw the divinity intellectually or in their life at Mount Temple?
Yes. Not intellectually, obviously. We wouldn't assume that it was an intellectual, uncreated light.
Well, I'm just going to say here, like, when our scholastics use the term intellectually, they're just referring to noetically. I'll use the term noetically just, for less ambiguity. But noetically, yes, they saw the divinity noetically.
Okay, so then, like, noetically, they would be participating in an uncreated sense.
Insofar as the object of the basic vision is uncreated? Yes.
Okay. So let me read this. Do you agree with what I'm about to say here?
Is this from Scholarios?
Yes. It's
Okay,
from
read it.
it's from the Against the Supporters of Acandinos.
Mhm.
He says, "But God dwells in unapproachable light, for the unapproachable is certainly also true. And true is unapproachable, since also the apostles have fallen, not being able to gaze at the glory of the light of the sun because of it being unapproachable light. But in the interpretation of the 44th Psalm, saying again thus, by your splendor and your beauty, or rather by the visible and intelligible divinity, for that is truly beautiful, surpassing in comprehension every beauty and power. But Peter and the sons of thunder saw the true beauty, exceeding the brilliance of the sun, and they were considered worthy to receive with their eyes the preludes of his glorious presence."
Mm-hmm.
So saying that they saw the true beauty, not in the sense of it being right something that is condescended.
I mean, yeah, they saw the true beauty, the divinity itself, as it's a diaphana thesis. Actually, in contrast to many of the latter Western fathers' diaphana thesis. I affirm that on Mount Tabor, intellectually, or as you would put it, noetically, the apostles saw the divinity. I don't have a problem with it.
And then, for the Lord does not always appear with glory to all those that are standing by him, but to those who are being introduced, he comes in the form of a servant. But to those who are able to follow him ascending to the high mountain of the transfiguration, he appears in the form of God in which he existed before this world was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they were perceiving the way that God is before the world was. Is that okay with you?
Yeah. I mean, it's even fine with Thomas Aquinas. If you read his questions upon the deity of vision, he says the object of the vision of God is something other than his uncreated, most beautiful essence.
That's what Blessed Dennis the Carthusian says.
It's literally the univocal view of the deity of vision. I mean,
Shut up, DK. I just wanted to be special.
This guy wants to just mention his favorite Carthusian theologians. Scholasticism. So
Yeah.
he has the urge to do this.
Yeah, it was what I did when I first started. Reading Palamas. I get it.
He was like, oh, by the way, did you know Palamas says mid debate, you're having a debate with your wife about what to cook for dinner, and did you know Palamas said that Balaam creates two divinities? On the contrary, did you know that?
Say that. Say all that one more time. I'm sorry.
Wait, that's pretty base. What are we talking about? That's Riz.
Wait, what did you say?
So you're having a conversation with your wife about what to get for dinner, and all of a sudden, mid conversation, she's on Uber Eats, and you just start saying, "Oh, by the way, did you know Palamas actually demonstrated how it's not him that affirmed two divinities, rather it was Aquinas and Balaam who mutilated the Godhead into two divinities," and you just refuse to elaborate further, and you just walk off. Yeah, I feel like that's something you would do.
That's what I do whenever I.
Wait, so what would be the issue with that? Because that's kind of Riz right there.
Bro, it's not just kind of Riz, it is Riz, bro. This is how you Riz up everyone.
That's that nonchalant stuff right there.
Exactly, bro. You understand? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you read the Dialogus? Bryce.
What the hell is playing? Hold on, I got some dumb shit playing. What'd you say?
Have you read the Dialogus of Palamas?
The dialogue with a Barlamite?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Give me a second. Okay, this is from I don't have for some reason I don't have the exact chapter reference, but you can probably word search it if you want. Or I can find the original read again. Okay, so the Orthodox persons that were speaking here.
After we get done with this, though, I do got to go a little bit early because my kid's up and she's torturing my wife.
Okay, no, that's fine, bro. Obviously, that should be your priority. Okay, the Orthodox says, which was one of the Barnamites in regards to the nature of the vision of the divinity at my temple. He says, regarding the glory that appeared on the table, the divine damson says, the glory which is naturally from the divinity became also common to the body due to the.
Yo, I hate to say this shit, but you got to say it slower, dude. Your accent is thick.
Okay. I'm
sorry.
It's fine. Regarding the glory that appeared on table, the divine damson says, the glory proceeded naturally from the divinity, became common also to the body, due to the identity of hypostasis. Thus, that divine nature possessed all this glory, but did not partake of it dimly. Those who partake of it draw as from a reservoir, as for quote, for from his fullness, he says, we have all received. And the righteous will shine like the sun, which means Christ shone on the mountain when he will appear in the future ineffable revelation, of which the faint dawn on Tabor was the prelude mystically indicating the future through the event. The light then is not simply the worshipped body, but it is the brightness of the divinity, along with other theologians, the inspired hymnographer of the church. Cosmos demonstrates this, saying to Christ, you have made the nature that was darkened in Adam to shine again, transforming it into the glory and brightness of your divinity. And this divinity is both of the Father and the Spirit, along with other theologians, the divine hymnographer of the church. No less than the former, John of Damascus, exhorts singing, come people, let us ascend to the holy mountain to behold the divine nature shining brilliantly in the sun, the only begotten with the Father and the Spirit. He says the object that is visual and noetically for the apostles is the divine physis, the divine nature, which is just going to be, I know you tried to say nature.
No, I don't have it. I understand that, like, the way that Gregory Palamas references nature, as well as Scholarios, like when they're talking about nature, like they obviously affirm that there's only one uncreated, and that is the nature of God. So the material identity of the energies to the essence, like you could say that like there is only one uncreated, right? So when he's saying that you're perceiving the divine nature, like the nature versus like when you're talking about definitions, right? If you talk about the essence, would be like the whatness of God, and then like the nature in a proper sense would be considered the howness of God, right? That would be considered like the whatness plus his acts. Well, and so like when they say that you're participating in the divine nature, like it says in the Bible with like 2 Peter, right? Like that's not literally saying that you're like in our view, we're not participating just in the essence, you're participating in the entirety of the nature.
Yeah, I'm aware of that reply. I mean, I've seen Bradshaw take that reply as well, but the problem is with that reply is if you see Contra Akirinos, particularly book 1, chapter 3.
Contra, and do you know the first antiretic?
Contra Akirinos, book 1, chapter 3. He says that in God, physis, nature, and ousia, essence, are absolutely indistinguishable. You cannot distinguish them in any light.
In terms of it being different reses, absolutely.
But his qualification is just these particular terms are just semantically equivalent. I'm saying if we're gonna just interpret Palamas in light of Palamas's entire corpus, he seems to identify by quoting the Damascene that the object of the beatific vision, by the way, just means vision of God there, is just going to be the divine nature or divine essence.
Yeah. Them referring to it in terms of it being semantically equivalent is not a problem, of course, because if you're referencing the energies, you're automatically always referencing the essence and the persons, etc. There's no problem. There's no problem with that because, like, like we don't. I don't deny that.
So you wouldn't consider this ontological distinction between essence and energy, then?
No, I don't think any Orthodox person actually holds to that.
Okay, so you'd say really they're one and the same.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine. I have no problem with that.
I'm about to say, like, I don't know. I don't know if Chris or Rumi or Justin like have ever heard me say otherwise, but
like, how does this like result in like neoclassical theism? Like, I'm so because that's where this all started.
But, well, so like in terms of like when we're talking about, I know this doesn't directly just reply to classical theism itself, but the only reason like why I said that is because the way that we articulate things, like for example, actuality and things like that would be in like the sense of like, for example, like I hold to like the Cappadocians in terms of like first and second actuality, right? So then like there are a lot of people like in the Thomistic sense that would deny that being a thing, because they would say that that implies a potentiality in God. And then we would deny that that actually implies like God possessing some form of passive potency within himself. I know that like obviously there are some people in the West that are okay with that, but that was the only reason why I said that, like, in a sense, you'd say that it would be neoclassical theism if you're holding to a certain view of classical theism. I'm not, because like DK said earlier, right, there's multiple different views on like what you would declare classical theism as. So I was kind of just presupposing, Chris, obviously, that you were referring to it in like the Thomistic sense of pure act.
None of them concede that there can be an actualization of first and second actuality in God. First actuality is always going to be the intrinsic capacity by virtue of which one has active power.
You got say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
First actuality is obviously going to be the intrinsic active capacity by virtue of which one can move to second actuality of that active power. But that's going to, of course, require some realization, i.e., an actualization of active impotency here. You move from first actuality to second actuality. And I would secondly object to this idea there's a Thomistic actus purus. Because if you read every single manuscript of every single scholastic tradition, they all have the same definition of actus purus, which is a being that is pure act is pure act if and only if it has no passive potentia.
Yeah, if that's the only definition that they're holding to, then fine, right? But like what I'm referring to is anecdotal, in terms of like the way in which people argue for pure act in the Thomistic sense. It's not the same as if with like where we would be arguing for pure act. This is like I don't know if you saw or not, but you can actually watch the stream from yesterday. I debated with Islamic Apex on modal collapse, right? And he attempted to use a understanding of pure act in a different sense in which we would say it, because he was presupposing some. I don't even really know how to explain it. You'd have to probably watch the stream because there was a lot of talk.
Okay. Maybe I'll watch it when I have some free time on. But
yeah.
Okay. But the thing is, when it comes to that definition of pure act, I would exclude that one could concede there to be first actuality in God, because even the first actuality is just the intrinsic active capacity by virtue of which actuality can be realized.
So I was using that as an explanation against modal collapse.
So
right.
You would concede there isn't any first actuality in God then?
What?
Would you concede that?
That there is?
That there isn't.
No, I would say that there is a first actuality in God. Like I would say that the things that have not been actualized into actual creation yet would be considered first actuality.
Okay, then
things within foreknowledge, for example, would be considered like divinely abstract until it's considered concrete in the creation.
Well, okay, I'll say no. I'll say that doesn't follow because with first actuality, that would still imply the capacity to go from potency to act.
No, that's where we say no. That's not what we're saying here.
Even God is eternity in second actuality. That's just something virtually containing.
Would you say that God possesses like active potency?
Yeah, infinite active potency. Yes.
Okay, yeah, and active potency
that isn't active potency is divided twofold, i.e., first actuality and second actuality.
Centipede? You need me to kill a centipede? Unalive? We love the TikTok shop.
TikTok shop is the greatest.
I have to go.
Oy,
I have
love the banks.
I have to unalive a centipede. Hold on.
I love the
freaking
banks.
out.
DK, do you love the banks? How much is in your bank account?
$50.
$50. What do you want?
Guys, Tempo's the host of the stream now.
What do you want $30 for?
Can't believe my son's trying to take my last $20.
Officer, my son's trying to take my last $5. You're gonna be hearing from my lawyer about that $50.
That $50 was promised to me 3,000 years ago. So like, Chris, you want to debate me on like if pineapples on pizza is like the Filioque way of pizza?
I don't even know what that means.
Filioque way of pizza? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Rumi, you want to debate me on that?
Okay, so what do you think eternal manifestation is, Tempo?
Like, honestly, I'm not well read on eternal manifestation.
But like, can you give me like a definition?
Like the basic definition would be like what Saint Basil, what Saint Basil says in letter 34.
Voice crack compilation.
There's an eternal shining forth of the Spirit through the Son.
I beat it to death with this. Hold on. Hudson and Kaner, Encyclopedia of Apologetics.
Okay.
Yeah, Bryce. So like, I don't know if they want to debate like if pineapples on pizza is the filioque of pizza.
Something like that.
Yo, DK, bro, come back. Bryce J said he's weighing the oi.
Oh, no.
I believe that weighing the oi is better than oiing the vey.
Bro, if DK heard this, bro, he would go bananas.
What about voying the yay?
I heard that and I declare war. I declare war.
I invoke Saint Paisios of Manathos.
Oh, you won.
What is that, like your trap card, dude? Like,
yeah.
Yep, no coming back from that.
Wait, what, Bryce, who's your patron?
Saint Justin Martyr.
Okay, that's big. No, that's actually big.
Hey,
It was actually one of the things that I did that I dedicated to once I was baptized was to prove that Saint Justin Martyr was a Trinitarian.
Incredible.
Bryce, what is the story of his martyrdom?
Well, I mean, Saint Justin Martyr himself, like, he was commonly preaching against the Greeks. And I think if I remember correctly, I haven't read it in a little bit, but that he was unalived by the Romans at that time, like by Romans that were in a different area, not like in Rome.
Yeah, he basically got killed by the local.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought he got martyred in Rome.
I don't know, was it?
In Rome, but it was local governors pretty much governed particular bodies of Rome.
Yeah.
At the time. He didn't like Christ.
Yeah, it was Justin, Kediton, Kedites, Pion, and Liberianus all suffered at Rome. Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have
Rumi said Trifo is a Trin. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we have Saint Justin Martyr relics. Yeah.
Really?
Mhm.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So some Miaphysites have some.
Okay, I see.
I'll ask him to turn them over. It's all good.
I'll just ask him to like submit to council.
Yeah, Bryce J just like has motion like that.
I'll just say, can you provide that Diophysite's relics to us, please?
Wait, but if Origin, wait. So if Origin was a filioquist and the Cappadocians derived from Origin, therefore the Cappadocians are filioquist.
I disagree with premise one on the fact it's a false dichotomy.
W
That's what I was saying in regards to there being first acting God. Okay. So first of all, we need to answer what a formal act is. So a formal act is either called first or second act. Okay. Now, first act is going to just be that, which doesn't presuppose an anterior act, but it awaits a subsequent act. So, e.g., a substantial form. And the second act is going to be that which presupposes an anterior act, for example, an antonym. In creatures, it's going to be an accidental act. Now, obviously, first or second could just be entirely relative, but even then, if we're going to concede there's a first action God, you're going to have to presuppose there's, you're going to have to say, or not presuppose an anterior act, but rather a subsequent act, meaning that there's going to be the realization of acting bonus in God. That's what would be proposed.
I mean, God's power would still be actual, like that we believe that like the energeia is just a manifestation of said dynamis.
Okay, then that's fine, because we would agree God is eternally in something actuality.
Yeah, he doesn't possess any passive potency within himself. I don't think any Orthodox person would concede that.
Well, if you affirm that God does have first actuality, just definitionally, God's second actuality, i.e., let's just say the realization of that first actuality is going to be an accidental act.
If you're referring to it in like the purely like Aristotelian sense, then like obviously we're not going to hold it like with those presuppositions in mind.
It's going to be Aristotelian because this is.
It's specifically regarding the Trinity when we're referring to that. Sorry, so it's not going to be referring to like the normal sense in which, like, for example, a human being would be first and second actuality. Like it wouldn't apply the same way to God.
The only way in which we differ, like, okay, Aristotelian categories with the triologies are going to be analogous with speaking in regards to the Trinity. But if we're going to properly say God is first actuality, then you're going to say God. Because that second act must therefore be accidental if that first act requires a subsequent act. That's because it's going to be composed of subsequent accidents. That's the problem with saying there's going to be first sexuality in God.
I don't think that would follow.
I'm appealing to the Cappadocian, Aristotelian definition is because that's the one the Cappadocians are using. Remember, the Cappadocians in their articulation of trilogy, and also just the philosophy of the deity with regard to the anomaly, they're deriving their particular views from the Pericoranic tradition on Aristotle. So I'm using it in a way we would have understood it. And I would agree. Yeah, there's no realization of first and second actuality in God, lest we say that God is composed of substances and accidents, because first act, as I said, would require subsequent second act, which would be accidental then.
No, because
second act.
Yeah,
that's the only way in which we solve the problem. If not, you violate divine simplicity.
no, like so, in terms of like first and sexuality, first and second actuality, when you're referring to like the way that humans partake in said thing, right? We don't believe, obviously, that if we apply something like that to God, that it then applies the same way. Sorry about that, Johan. I know that sounded weird. I said that the wrong way, for sure. Right.
I didn't even hear it, but
Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool.
All right, after this, I gotta go, bro. Like, for real.
It's about like applying it to humans, like applying it to any object or any subject.
Yeah, but like because of the fact that like there are things like the way that Aristotle articulates it is within things that are created. If we apply something like that to God and make explanations as to why it would be this way in God and not, for example, the way that it's applied to created things that are composite, then it would.
Well, that just seems a bit ad hoc.
It wouldn't be considered ad hoc. It would be still considered explanatory. It wouldn't be ad hoc by itself.
It's just ad hoc things can be explanatory. It just means there's no actual, reason to appeal to it rather than just an instance. Because first, actually, this is like how univocally the Aristotelian commentators define first and second actuality, or the formal act. It's divided into first and second actuality. The problem is if you're going to just apply the category first actuality to God, as demonstrated by the definition of the formal acts, you would have to concede accidents in God. The realization of those active capacities, as far as sexuality, would imply that that God has accidental operations. But
Cataclysm. Do you have any quotes of that?
He's referring to Maximus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the problem is the solution to the problem is you're saying God is only in second actuality, and that there's particular termini, i.e., endpoints or effects of the entirely pure actual divinity. That's the solution, because if we from this first sexuality is going to be, as I said, a shift from active policy, and there's going to be composition in God, which we obviously cannot affirm.
Yeah, and like I said, like I just provided like why we would still make the argument in the way that we do. Like I understand that like obviously it would, in the normal sense, apply that way. And I know that like it wouldn't be considered just ad hoc because there would be considered argumentations for how that would work in God. If we were to say that, like, for example, like the dynamis would still be considered actual without any issue. There's nothing wrong with saying that. And then saying that God then manifests his energies to creation insofar as the state of affairs. That doesn't mean that then therefore God then possesses some form of potentiality. It doesn't apply that way.
Yes, because like, I mean, as you probably know, we take an indeterministic view upon cause and effect, meaning that just because, let's say, God's act of creation is necessary, it doesn't therefore follow that creation or creation reward is necessary under an indeterministic model. Because, when it comes to these opaque content, when it comes to these modal contexts, the referentially be opaque. That's a substitution in the follower. So, I mean, yeah, if we're going to just like, if we could just, the thing is, what I'm trying to do here is find a common ground by virtue of which we can communicate same idea or notion. That's all. Because I think like we're a lot more in agreement than you think.
I don't know about that, man. I mean, I understand that like you see it in that position because you went from Eastern Orthodox to Catholic, so I understand that like you think that it can be like that, but like there are like if you just look at the Palamite synods itself, like you can see obviously that there are severe disagreements. I mean, the fourth Palamite synod itself is an obvious disagreement. I mean, like that's specifically.
I agree.
Have you read that one?
The fourth Palamite synod, what, the one in the 1700s?
No, the one regarding Caidones.
Oh, okay.
Procros.
Oh yeah.
Yes, the Thomists.
Yeah. I mean, I think they
What was he condemned for?
Yo, W. Kidonis reference.
Yeah, Kidonis brothers, all up on this. I'm just joking. Anyways, yeah, I know. For Christian Thomism, that's one of the condemnations against it. For sure, I'm saying between me and you though, and how we understand actuality in God, I'm trying to just come to a common ground by virtue of which we can understand through acts. And because I think you have a very similar understanding, but I don't think the category of first and second actuality, when referring to God's formal act, is being understood or predicated properly. I think there's some confusions there.
I mean, that would be coming from obviously from your position based on the fact that first and second actuality can only mean a certain thing from your view. So like, I understand that, but that doesn't mean that like I'm not understanding it. I'm explaining it from the way that we would have it.
Well, we cannot just like magically redefine it. Like these are.
Is it an objective definition? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think there is. As I said, when it comes to the original commentators, these are the peripherics. These are the philosophers whom the Cappadocians are pulling from specifically. And by the way, I've never seen a passage from the Cappadocians where they affirm that God goes from first to second actuality. They affirm God is actus purus.
Okay. I mean, if you want, like, I can go ahead and sift through and try to like grab some of that for you if you want.
That's
like, cause I didn't just make this up on the spot. Like I
know. I've seen certain scholarship that unfortunately articulates in this way, and I just disagree with it. Okay, I would actually agree with Cataclysm then. If God's imminent operations are intrinsically always realized, but not outwardly, that's totally fine, because I would still assume that God is eternally in second actuality, but the effects or the terminus of those imminent operations is temporal. It's indeterministic. I would agree with that. That's fine. I would agree with Cataclysm though. That's totally fine.
My students speaking on this panel, I love it. Amazing.
My student is the student.
Yeah.
Maybe me.
You know, I'm DK's Padawan. You guys know that?
Yeah, I'm like Qui-Gon, and like Chris is like Obi-Wan.
So true. Yeah, Prendy, I'll come on your live, bro.
Anyways, guys, it's almost 4 a.m. here. I really need to catch some sleep. By the way, Bryce, we need to reorganize the debate time one day.
Yeah, we do. After your schedule is all stabilized and stuff like that, just hit me back up, and then we'll look for something in the near future.
Tomorrow about it, if it's fine with you. I'll be on holiday from the 11th to the 14th in Rome, but after I'm back, I'll probably be free for quite a while. So, anyways, I'll see you guys later on. Take care. God bless.
Yep.
Bye.
Alrighty. And last words here. So, hold on, let me pull this thing out real quick. 1 second. All right. So, like, I understand where DK's coming from, of course, and like I'll go ahead and provide him with the reasonings behind why I have the arguments that I have, of course, in the future. But like at the same time, like I don't like obviously appeal to like objective definitions in the sense that it was applied. Like I use it in the sense that the Cappadocians proclaimed it, and I don't believe that they proclaimed it in the sense in which I know he's not a Thomist, he's eclectic technically, but it wouldn't apply. I don't think that the Cappadocians apply it in the way that they do. That's the entire point as to why I argue it the way that I do, is that there are still problems within that view. So, yeah. God bless everybody. Very intellectual conversation today. It's pretty good. I'll catch you guys later.